every 2 or 3 words and make the clip context free like he does. Yeah. But he's still trying. Except the worst part is that, like, it's not working. This is why he stopped posting on Twitter, by the way. You do not want to go chat for chat. The clip with the fraudulent chat messages. 1.5 years of lies and attacks, and this is what you guys finally choose to respond to. Jesus Christ. Ethan, watch the video without pausing every 3 seconds and ranting for 5 minutes so you might actually absorb what's said. Missing you. Why did you use the button when Olivia and AB tried to call out your dishonest framing of Idips's argument? The last thing you guys should want is to be held accountable for what fandoms say and do, because your fandom loves harassing people and acting vile and racist. Oh, you want an example of his fandom acting insane? Here's the comments they were leaving, I believe, on Kirk Honda's videos, saying that he should be reported to the Washington Medical Commission. Here's one of the comments that was left. This is disgusting behavior from Doctor. I was borderline considering reporting this to the Washington Medical Commission. You're lending your authority to a group of 5 bullies who've been relentlessly targeting Ethan because he's sympathetic to Israel. No, because he's falsely accusing people of calling CPS, falsely accusing people of being anti-Semitic, falsely accusing Sabra Hummus of being good, forcing us to put missing posters up for his employees, forcing us to plaster, like, AB and Olivia's face on milk cartons to try and find them. Like, that's what he is being held responsible for. Not because he's sympathetic to Israel, although that is one of them. Forcing us to listen to him talk about poop for 5 minutes straight. And dude, I didn't even make you guys watch the worst part of this. Like, when they start talking about the viscousness of the diarrhea, and I'm like, why are you talking? Why? Like, literally, why is this online? I don't even understand why this is online. I don't. But anyways, the replies on this are crazy. Y'all really felt brave enough to come back on Twitter. This is a doctored video. Ethan knows it. That's why he covers up. Denim's chat in the top right corner. The logs he's showing are from another part of the video. The other part of the video being him talking about the viscousness of the poop and how you have to ingest it to get it. Parody account, wake up, Ethan. Why haven't you covered the 15 medics murdered by the IDF who then covered it up and lied about it until the video evidence was found? You seem to find time to cover the so-called anti-Hamas protests, but not the daily war crimes committed by Israel on camera. Why? Where's AB? Right after that clip. Wake up, Ethan. What about the clip where she specifically said, don't call CPS and condemn the behavior? Dan, when are you going to get tired of babysitting for the grown man who pays your rent? Hey, Ethan, what's in the top right of this clip? Just curious. Just asking questions. Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast is guilty of defaming Denims and now is trying to cover up his misdeeds. That Ryan Kavanaugh lawsuit must be making him nervous. Stop calling her a rape denier. She never did that. Why do you refuse to show your audience this part of Denim's video? It's like, oh God, I got scared for a second. I thought this was like a fucking random porn video on Twitter. No, it's just Ethan. It's this insane clip from Ethan about the Boston bomber victim. Jesus Christ. This is guys. This one's out of pocket. AB called CPS. This one's out of pocket. I do not endorse this behavior. Comments can be funny, but also I don't endorse. Dude, can you imagine the first time you tweet on your fucking H3 podcast account and you're just getting roasted on Twitter? Every single reply is saying, you guys are fucking liars. You guys are liars. And now it's getting even worse because of everything with the psychologist from Seattle. All you do is gaslight, holy shit. Ethan insults Ian on his podcast, insults Ian on IG, continually starks about Ian and Anissa, knowing E3 fans will harass them on Ethan's behalf. Ian responds once with a video. Ian is doing a harassment campaign against me. Yeah. But that's also why I made the video in the first place. The only reason I made these videos on Ethan Klein is because he's like straight up lying about me. Like explicitly, exclusively just lying about me. And I want to be able to explain concisely why and how he's lying about me so that you guys can see that shit and be like, oh, it's total insanity. He doesn't want to own up to the fact that people wrote that shit because I played a clip of his uninterrupted from his podcast. And that the clip that they're showing of me watching Bad Empanada, people weren't even typing it. 3 of the 65 were typed then, which is why he doesn't show it. Because if you actually look at the clip and look at what is being said in the clip, it's like, and you can, even before he covers it, you can see what's happening. It's people saying like, ew, Keck W, reacting to Bad Empanada, reacting to Ethan, reacting to Denims. He came for the psychologist, damn, he literally used Ian's apparent taking advantage of him for the content cop as further evidence that Ian was being an asshole and I was going after him. Yeah. Is his point that it wasn't moderated? No. His point, which he says explicitly, is that it was pretty much all of my chat. Back then, do you have timestamps on your live stream video? He edited those out too? Yes, he also edited those out. He also did edit those out because, you know, he has to spread his narrative and he has to lie in order to do it. Which is like, it's sad and pathetic for him. It's just like, man, You guys are trying everything. First, he said that you told people to call CPS, and then he realized that that was false, so he had to change the story a little bit. But he says it explicitly here. He says...
And that is basically your entire chat.
It's basically your entire chat. And during his live show said that I was directly responsible and that I did CPS. Also, for a lot of the chats, you can see that the names are misaligned from the left, inconsistently spaced. It's so sloppy. Yeah. I just find it interesting he's using a bad Hasbara playbook with very lazy lies. It's just pathetic. Oh my God. It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand. But something very hilarious happened yesterday, guys. All right. I guess I must have missed this somehow in the live show. I was starting to my brain was starting to melt having to watch that. It's not defamation without damages. That's not necessarily true. There is defamation per se, which basically means that you don't have to prove damages. So accusing someone of something that's criminal is defamation per se. So accusing someone of being a rapist without proof, or, accusing someone of doing a Ponzi scheme, defamation per se. You're accusing someone of doing something illegal and you're saying it like it's a fact. It's reputational damage that you don't necessarily have to prove financial damages for. And that's exactly what Kavanaugh is suing him for. He's suing him for, the guy's a billionaire. I don't think he's going to be able to prove real financial damages, right? If you're doing it with malicious intent, which I think the guy who calls me a demon, using a corrected article to suggest that someone did a Ponzi scheme, that's why Ethan's going to lose his lawsuit. This lawsuit's basically in the bag for Kavanaugh. But hey, man, keep fighting that fight, Ethan. Keep fighting. I'm sure at some point he'll give up and then come to an agreement to a settlement so that he can be like, no, we just agreed on, or it's not that I'm wrong and that I was defaming him. We reached a settlement in private. Okay. I'm never going to talk about Kavanaugh again. This, I think, was really funny.
I'll tell you what else. This whole video is delete worthy.
I agree.
I think he needs to delete the whole video.
I think bro, don't even, bro. Yeah. This guy was my friend, by the way, of 10 years. What was it?
I'll tell you what else. This whole video is...
Yeah, yep. You should delete the video, Ian. You should delete the video. It's not a good video. I know it has 5.5 million views. But you should delete the video, okay? You should delete it. Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good. And man, I saw this edit that's just too good. It's just, oh, fuck, dude. The people making these edits are too powerful. These people are too powerful. Let me pull it up. Where is it? Oh, here it is. In an insane play, Eli Klein decides, I'm going to call a bunch of creators monkeys, dancing monkeys. Those creators in question, 2 of them are brown and 1 of them is black.
Beginning, he's not in every shot. He's only there briefly.
He's not dancing, only letting the monkeys dance for him.
Only letting the monkeys dance for him. In reference to the beginning skit where we L dance. Let me pull it up. This section. You guys have all seen it. I know you guys have all seen it, but Zins anyone? Sorry, man.
It was brilliant.
I just wanted to see the Zins anyone part.
Wake up. Zins anyone? Just wake up.
Oh, that gets me every time.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not going to do a react.
Beginning, he's not in every shot. He's only there briefly.
He's not dancing, only letting the monkeys dance for him.
Only letting the monkeys dance for him, says Eli Klein. But why I really wanted to show you guys this was because this edit is unbelievably funny, okay? I've rewatched this intro a shameful amount of times. It's become a vocal stim between me and my daughter.
Beginning, he's not in every shot. He's only there briefly.
He's not dancing, only letting the monkeys dance for him.
Yeah.
Letting the monkeys dance for him.
Yeah.
Monkeys. I just love that this is a guy that grew up in telling me about
your family
Israel.
fled from fucking persecution and air countries.
Israel is more diverse than everything you've probably ever seen. But monkeys, microaggressions. monkeys.
לא הכושים מפרחים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי, שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים, מאיפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, בפעם שאתה יודע, קורף רצה להם בן ככה.
Yeah. Do we have that one?
And
Like Kamala.
a really good guy that monkeys dance for him.
Yeah. Beginning, he's not in every shot.
Whoever is is working overtime to make these fucking edits. Then is this the assassination you paid for? It's really funny that everyone brings up the Grums comment that I made, the Grums joke that I made. And they don't bring up this stuff. Like, at this point, you should start accusing me of, like, commissioning these assassinations. Because it's just too strong. It's just too powerful. Oh, it's just too beautiful. 1 second. I want to pull this up for you guys as well. I knew that it was a matter of time before someone would make this comment, which is why I wanted to pull this up. Hold up. There's a section in the VOD. I remember yesterday or the day before when we watched it, it literally bamboozled me.
Ethan won't stop talking about his A+ rating.
That's right. You know he rated my apology
To comment on.
Somebody went one tier below.
Says Beam after he saw Ian's video and was like, dude, what is happening? Genuine.
On to people. No, before this.
So,
Powerful haters.
YouTube, please. I'm trying to watch this video.
yeah, true, could be.
He is in a situation that's making him extremely scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings. Paranoid.
He's going through regression right now.
True. Yeah.
Scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other just use a hug. I have challenged some of his
Okay, wait. It was before this. Hold up. Hold, guys. Wait.
We're going to have to grab that, Zach, the punch in the face thing.
You got it.
Found it.
Nobody.
He said do that shit because I'm like, what?
All right. Found it. Kind of a stretch. See, normally I would agree with you that, like, you like calling two brown people and a black person dancing like monkeys, saying that those people are dancing like monkeys. Normally I would say, you're being unfair, uncharitable, whatever. It's not like, I don't know, maybe it seems like a stretch to call that like racism. But the problem is that, like, they don't abide by these rules. Like, they don't abide by these rules. Look at this. These people don't deserve the charitability because they don't give it to anybody else ever.
Could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs. I think
That
You're a fucking idiot, dude. Why?
you know what's great about
What
this
the fuck?
line is that my complaint is about people threatening violence. There's lots of threats of violence against me and my family, and your response is to tell your audience that what I need is to get punched in the face. This guy is this is the new iDubbbz?
Yeah.
This is the new iDubbbz? The punch him in the face guy? I'm flabbergasted by this take. It's just mean-spirited. It's wrong. What do you mean, dude? What? It's just like so disappointing. I don't even know what to say. That line, it's just so disappointing.
Why did they put the
Wasn't the whole thing?
Dude, okay, there is definitely one of two things is happening. Either someone on that staff is like very brain damaged, or there's someone there that's like an inside job. Someone in there has to be like a double agent. Because I don't know why they played the L dancing over him so many times. Because it didn't make him look good. It looks like a snark edit. Like when the type of guy who, when you hear someone say like, this guy needs an ass whooping, but you know what? Listen, man, fine. We will give a genuine attempt at trying to bridge the gap in a way that's nice. And you're like, this guy is literally trying to be violent. And he wants to punch me in the face. He wants to. This guy who does boxing and organizes a boxing event, he wants to beat me up. He wants to condone violence against me.
We're going to have to grab that, Zach, the punch in the face thing.
Grab that, Zach. Grab that clip.
he needs a hug.
Grab
no, he
it.
doesn't need a hug.
Grab that clip. It's like, I don't know, man. The people who did blackface and have said the N-word, I don't know, hundreds of times at this point. When she says monkey, I believe that it's racist at this point. When she says this,
He's not in every shot. He's only there briefly.
He's not dancing, only letting the monkeys dance for him.
Yeah.
Letting the monkeys dance for him.
Yeah.
Monkeys. I just love that this is a guy that grew up in telling me about
I mean, your family
Israel.
fled from...
Israel is more diverse than everything you've probably ever seen. But monkeys.
whoever put the fucking
It's microaggressions. Monkeys.
לא הכל כושי מפרחים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים. איפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, מופע שאתה יודע, וזה יצא להם בן קוף, יצא להם בן ככה.
Yeah. Do we have that one?
And
Like Kamala.
a really good guy that monkeys dance for him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Where's the link to this video? You're right. She could have easily said minions. She could have said like these clowns. Like she could have easily, these fucking goons, these puppets. She could have said so many things. It's just, again, it's one of those things where like you know the implications of making a statement like that. You should know better. And the fact that you go straight there, and I would give you charitability, but the thing is you haven't earned it, considering that the second that Ian says like, this guy needs an ass whooping, offhand, you're like, this is real violence against me. Zach, clip that. Make sure to clip that, okay? Because it's like, this is what you're condoning, the violence against me and my family. It's like, you've lost the plot, dude. Oh my God. You've lost it. You totally lost it. Dancing Monkeys is a show business term you're reaching. Did you not understand anything I just said? Did you not understand? He is constantly reaching. He is constantly reaching. I don't even think it's necessarily in this case a reach when they've literally done blackface and they've said the N-word. How many? They have a 20-minute compilation of them saying the N-word and said they've never been friends with a black person. You lose the charitability at that point. You don't get it back. I'm sorry. Oh my God. You're both obviously reaching. What? I'm sorry. Are there clips of me saying the N-word 20 times? Or sorry, for 20 minutes? This is not a both sides situation. One side is actually engaged in all of the behavior that people accuse them of having engaged in, and then the other person hasn't. I'm sorry to tell you, but this is not the big brain play. This is not it, Foxy. I'm sorry. 20 minutes is insane. This is also not the first time she's done this.
19-year-old or something, because like the way he talks,
He does kind
he's
of.
like,
He's
you
very,
know, my mom will sometimes bring somebody to clean the house.
Well, he goes, he's 40-year-old man, dude, with kids. And I'm like, dude, you're like 34. Like, bro, you're not that young.
Will sometimes bring somebody to clean the house.
Well, he goes, he's 40-year-old man, dude, with kids. And I'm like, dude, you're like 34. Like, bro, you're not that young.
Bro, I'd love to see you defend this. She made chimp noises. You think that it's a stretch to call these people racist? You've lost the plot if you think this. You've lost the plot completely. You totally lost the plot, man. I don't know what to tell you. Holy shit, I just looked up the compilation. Sorry, this chat message. If this what this is, just digging up dirt to slander each other. No, the thing is he's lying about me. And I'm defending myself against the lies and accusations. If you want, I can like call you a pedophile and a rapist or something. And then when you talk about it on your show, or you go to like a news outlet to be like, what the fuck? No, I'm not. I can be like, is this what it is? Just digging up dirt to slander each other. I mean, you could tell me how you would feel about that. I mean, maybe you would feel differently. Maybe you don't care if people said that. Maybe you wouldn't care about that at all. Now, both of you have videos saying things that would be irrefutable.
Yippee.
You're using a word and you don't know what that word means. You don't know what you are a vile bitch. Thank you. Aw, thanks. Thanks. Really? Do you mean it? Thanks. Can't be denied. I can tell you just Googled it, but you recognize that this sentence no longer makes sense within the context of this sentence. All you just said was that I have videos saying things that can't be denied about him. What? Don't, chat, let this be your lesson. Don't use words if you're not 100% sure what they mean. Also, like typing it, oh my God. You meant to say indefensible, okay? That's what you meant to say. Jesus, I'm getting embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for you. It does, you're scrubbing through the VODs. He does the same thing. Oh God, this is too much cringe for me. I'm sorry. I actually can't even make a joke about it because it's too cringy. It's actually too cringy. Oh my God. I know that your favorite hobby is like just banging your head on a brick wall, but you should stop. Okay, you should stop, please. I'm begging you to stop.
Finger off the trigger.
Ethan Klein is once more doing what Zionists do best, playing the victim. His reaction to getting refuted for months on end on Israel-Palestine and having his abhorrent views plainly dissected for all to see by me and many others has been simply to try to divert attention away from that discussion and onto basically everything else. Rather than try to actually refute his detractors on the basis of the facts and the evidence, he just resorts to instead claiming they are terrible people, attacking them personally, and basically talking about everything but what's actually important. The actual political arguments, the historical arguments. He never responds to them. And now, in an effort to further ensure that he doesn't have to respond to them, he's claiming that he was mailed human skulls as a threat. Ethan's also been like slyly trying to imply that I sent him the skulls, though to my knowledge he hasn't outright said that yet. But if he does outright say it, we're certainly going to be looking into suing him for defamation, because in such a case it would be very easy to just completely ruin him and his reputation, because in that situation, we would obviously be able to subpoena the records from the vendor, which would show like who ordered this, where they ordered it from, what details they put in, what payment method they use, and stuff like that. And as you'll be seeing during this video, the most likely culprit that it would show is Ethan Klein himself. So yeah, if he wants to get himself into actual real legal trouble, he's already losing a defamation lawsuit for millions to Ryan Kavanagh. I guess he can go through with that, though I'd advise him not to. I'll just crowdfund legal fees and we'll go to court and we'll get this whole thing figured out. So firstly, let me show you where he said this. It's in a video that he just made on his main channel. Half of the video, which is like dedicated to complaining about me again. He's made like 5 straight main channel videos just complaining about me, honestly. It's pretty comical. But the YouTuber iDubbbz recently made a video like basically just accusing Ethan of being a bad friend to him, which to be honest, I don't really care about and I don't think anyone should care about, because there's way more important things that are at stake. And in his video responding to that video, Ethan Klein like ludicrously brings up this supposed human skull incident as if that has anything to do with this guy who made a video basically about like how you've just been a bad friend to him recently. So here's the part in the video where he brings up this supposed human skull thing.
There's something that I've never talked about publicly, but around the same time, we received 2 human skulls in the mail at our home, which led us to having a very pleasant interview with the FBI.
Okay, so let's examine this claim. We received 2 human skulls at home, which led us to having a pleasant interview with the FBI. The problem with this narrative is that Ethan Klein posted the uncensored images of these skulls on his Instagram, and they do appear to be real human skulls. However, they are real human skulls that still have the tags on them, that still have the serial number on the tags, and that literally have the vendor who sold them listed on the tags. So other people have already done all of the work here for me regarding looking into where these skulls came from, which apparently wasn't too hard given how much information about them Ethan inadvertently gave out by posting these pictures. And it was discovered that this skull is from the website Skulls Unlimited. We know this because in this picture that he posted, which weirdly, by the way, is of his crew member AB handling the skull, like he made him do that. That's weird, dude. You can see Skulls Unlimited, there's a tag there, and you can see in this picture very clearly the serial number of the skull, 0030589. So human remains like this are very carefully inventoried if they're being held in any sort of legal way, and that's why this has a serial number so that it can easily be tracked. So Ethan Klein is claiming clearly here that someone threatened him by buying a skull from a legal online website which will mail skulls to you, and they also had it mailed just directly to him and like left the tags on it and everything, which makes it easy to track down and thus easy to find out who the person who sent it was, obviously, because they can just go to the vendor and ask them. But it gets stupider. This skull was actually on the website of Skulls Unlimited for sale up until this morning. As you can see here, this is the exact same skull, same serial number, 30589, same appearance, same everything. So Ethan Klein wants us to believe that someone threatened him by sending him skulls in the original packaging. Just to let you know, the packaging of Skulls Unlimited, by the way, make it very obvious what's inside as well. This is what a package from Skulls Unlimited looks like. So everything about this is just obvious bullshit. He's trying to claim that someone sent him a skull in the mail and they just sent it directly from the vendor. It didn't occur to them apparently to get it like sent to them first so that they could like make the packaging inconspicuous and cut off any identifying features or whatever, like, you know, the tag. No, they just mailed it directly to him. And then also, after that, after Ethan apparently called the FBI, as he claimed in that video, he then returned the skull voluntarily to the vendor so that they can resell it. To be clear, you can't just return something unless you're the actual buyer like that. You can't just return something and get a refund for it unless you're the buyer. And it wouldn't make any sense anyway, even if he wasn't the buyer, for him to return it, because, you know, you'd want to keep that as evidence, as proof. You wouldn't just give it straight back to them so that they can sell it again a second time. And especially if the fucking FBI was involved, as he claimed, they wouldn't let you just give it back. They would have seized it from him as evidence immediately. And for that matter, the FBI just immediately getting involved, no local police first, nothing. Everything about this story is just incredibly implausible. And everything about it points to Ethan himself having bought these skulls in a pathetic effort to keep playing the victim by claiming that someone else sent them to him to threaten him. He's provided no evidence otherwise, and until he actually does, there's no reason to believe his narrative about this. And also, if this was real, obviously Ethan would not have shut up about it. He wouldn't have kept this on the down low. He's desperate to play the victim. He would have gone live like basically immediately to talk about it. So what the evidence actually points to here, especially given that the skull was returned, and just to be clear, people have called Skulls Unlimited, and to be clear, please don't contact Skulls Unlimited. It'd be ethically wrong for them to get involved in this, and I'm pretty sure it would break a ton of privacy laws if the US even has those. I hope it does. For them to reveal anything about the people who are buying this stuff from them, so they cannot and they should not talk about this with you, so please just leave them alone. But someone did call them. They asked about the skull, and they said the skull is available for purchase, but now it's unlisted, meaning that once it started getting a lot of attention as a result of the Ethan Klein thing, they just took it down to it because they don't want to get involved. So the skull was factually returned, and it was listed on the website until this morning, meaning that Ethan Klein fucking, instead of giving the skull to the FBI as evidence, or them taking it as evidence, which is what they really would do if there was a serious crime here, instead of just like keeping it or throwing it away or donating it somewhere, he returned it so that the person who he is claiming in order to threaten him can get a refund from the vendor. Look, I'm sorry, if you buy this, you are not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. The most likely conclusion here is the simplest one, the one that all the evidence points to. That Ethan Klein bought this himself as a part of his long-lasting campaign to play the victim because he can't win the actual political arguments, and the rest is really just history. It's likely something that he decided was too out there to even go with, given that he didn't actually talk about it until now, and this seems to have happened about a month ago, judging by when this listing was put back up. But iDubbbz making a video about him made him feel like he needed to play the victim more, and this is what he decided to throw in there. To be clear, this is not the first time that Ethan Klein has made claims like this completely and totally unsourced with zero evidence. His whole narrative regarding CPS being called on him, for example, he's provided no evidence that ever actually happened. None. We have literally nothing but his word. And given how much he's clearly lying about this skull thing, maybe trusting his word and nothing more is a bit stupid. Like, he claims there was a CPS call and a CPS officer visited his house. He's provided no evidence of that. He's especially provided no evidence of his claims, bizarrely, that like me and like 10 different others, whenever it's convenient, he's blamed like all of us for calling CPS. No evidence for that either. In fact, the evidence that is inadvertently given out makes it pretty clear that if this did actually happen, it was someone known to him. Everything else is just him creating a narrative and providing zero evidence for it. When he initially talked about this supposed CPS call, this is what he said.
Getting Giardia and that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And, well, it culminated in somebody finally, an anonymous call went into them on the 3rd, saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses, and they were able to provide enough details because of what I said on the show to make it appear that it was somebody. He said, like, when he first showed up, he's like, it's somebody that you know who made the report. And I'm like, no, okay. So
Ethan Klein thinks that we should trust him more than we should this supposed CPS officer who said it's someone who knows him, someone close to him. No, we shouldn't actually, because CPS in California doesn't have anonymous calls, as he claims there. When someone calls CPS in California, callers to CPS have to identify themselves to the point where CPS is confident enough in the fact that they are actually close to the person. So there was no anonymous call here. This was someone who was able to provide CPS with enough personal information to convince them that they were actually close to the family, if that person, again, even existed, because he's provided no proof this ever happened. So do we believe Ethan Klein, desperate to draw attention away from his abhorrent views on Israel-Palestine? Or do we believe this supposedly existing CPS officer who said that it was someone close to them? You know, the guy who actually would have information regarding who this person was, rather than just Ethan's baseless speculation about who they are. I'd say believing Ethan Klein there would be pretty fucking dumb. Claims made without evidence can and should be dismissed out of hand, and this is a case where you should do that 100%. He's also framing the CPS thing, if it even happened, as if it was like a swatting or something, like it's a social worker with a clipboard coming to your house, and he's like basically framing as if like a bunch of armed soldiers came to his house and they put his family in danger or something. They're just ridiculous. He's just so desperate to victimize himself. He's so desperate to play the victim, and it's all because he's too incompetent and stupid to defend the genocidal politics of himself and his wife. Anyway, so in this video, Ethan Klein also like somehow tries to say that iDubbbz should like have to talk about me or something, like, hey iDubbbz, why don't you talk about Bad Empanada? And it gets to this point where Ethan Klein, who to be clear is someone who considers himself like a witty troll who gets jokes, you know, he's sarcastic, you know, no one can get the better of him. He plays like a very obvious clip, which to be clear, he wants people to think like I sent it to him. I didn't send it to him, it was from my Instagram story, posted publicly, where I'm obviously playing into his narrative about me supposedly being like an internationally wanted criminal. So what I did here is like I made my hair even worse. I fucked it up. I turned on my studio lighting, which I have, if you can believe it. I just don't really set it up very well. Usually I'm too lazy. I put it as close to my face as possible to make sure that like you could see every little pore of my face. And then I did like a face like this. And I'm like, I just said whatever came to mind to like be like, Ethan Klein, I am in control. I'm the puppet master. I'm the one who is like controlling everything behind the scenes. Very obviously, like, you're being fucked with. Ethan Klein buys it 100% and he puts it in his video as proof of how like iDubbbz has to talk about the Bad Empanada question. Look at this shit. And by the way, this is a great edit. Like he edited to like scary music and stuff, and zoom ins and like flashy stuff, and like with these guys dancing interspersed with it. To be clear, the sort of video that I made here to mock Ethan Klein's narrative about him like being the victim of a massive harassment campaign led by evil international criminal Bad Empanada, who's actually just a random guy in a house with like a shitty studio light who filmed a video against like a sheer white wall saying whatever happened to come to mind in 1 minute in order to troll you. Ethan Klein is the sort of person who would have done that 5 years ago. Like, he thought at least that he was the troll. He was the one who was lighthearted. He was the one who was sarcastic. If you can remember, like, he mocked like the Domino's Pizza guy, the CEO of Domino's Pizza or whatever it was, for going on like a weird unhinged rant about how the reckoning is coming when he's talking about pizza. Now, ironically, Ethan Klein is the sort of person who would see something like that and take it 100% seriously. Just look at how desperate he is to victimize himself. Dude, this is the whole reason why I fucking made this. Like, you think this edit is like, I don't know what he's going for here. Like, I feel like he has to, like, Ethan Klein's a very dumb person, but he has to know that this is obviously a troll. So I think, like, he's presenting it here as if it's not for his audience of, like, 11-year-olds and, like, adults with the IQs of 11-year-olds, because that's basically the only person who is still here at this point. Basically, his audience is now, like, a bunch of Asmongold and Destiny viewers, most of whom are children or, like, 40-year-old men with the minds of children. That's the sort of person who would buy this narrative that he's trying to push by including this obvious troll Instagram story in this video.
Today was pretty bad, wasn't it?
The reverb
really sucked for you. So just
like, this is the sort of editing that I would have liked to have done to this if I wasn't lazy.
Pointed.
It's not bad at all. I approve of it, honestly.
The betrayal of one of your closest.
I'm gonna take on. I don't like the dancing part though, but I might take it and like take his ideas and make it my new stream intro.
Long-term friends, huh? TikTok, Ethan. TikTok, because this was just a taste. This was just a small part.
It's like he's zooming in on him, like, hey, look, this is your friend. You're responsible for this obvious joke Instagram story. It's all your fault. It's This is fucking amazing. Like, Ethan Klein is so unable to actually respond to the content of iDubbbz' video, which I don't think is very important, just calling him a bad friend or whatever, that his immediate narrative is just to play the victim and be like, hey, look at this guy who made this video trolling me. Look at that, huh? This has something to do with you somehow.
What we have organized for you.
All he knows how to do is to play the victim. He can't actually talk about the points. And it pains him so much as well. God, it's awesome.
It's only gonna get worse. It's only gonna get worse, Mr. Klein. Every day.
I'm sorry, I'm funny. Why am I funny, man? I don't want to be funny.
Yeah, that works.
I didn't start YouTube to be funny. I started YouTube to be like a boring lecturer. And now I'm just like making fucking comedy bangers every day thanks to Ethan Klein. He's really brought out the best in me.
Every day. Simply just waiting in misery, in fear of what we have in store for you.
What we have in store, you see, I am the puppet master behind everything.
Target goes the clock.
Maybe if he stops harassing other creators.
He lets his dogs. Oh, he keeps playing this clip, by the way, so I'm just going to refute this real quick.
Shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor.
Maybe if he does these things.
Okay, so Ethan, have you not said that you do that? Because he has. I'll show you, just to end this video, I'll show you the clip where Ethan Klein outright said on his podcast that he does that. Like, Ethan Klein's fans keep going with this narrative where me saying that he said that his kids like crawl on the floor and that he implied that they got a parasite from eating dog shit is a lie that I made up when he said it on his podcast, and he just keeps leaving it out.
One part of it. The next part is...
It's like Ethan Klein thinks that if he says something incredibly stupid on his podcast, it's like harassment for other people to then react to that and laugh at him for it.
That Olive has Giardia, which is it's a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
And Olive has this?
Olive has this, yeah. She came to us with it.
Okay.
She had diarrhea, and
oh, poor baby.
Ducky came to us with that too. And I just wonder why.
It's relatively common.
It should be. They should have found it already. But anyway, so she has Giardia, so we have her on an antibiotic, but we had to wait until Monday, which is today. We just got it today. And
How's it feel?
well, Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has Giardia.
Oh, shit.
And now Ela has Giardia.
Shut. For real?
And now I think this morning I had diarrhea.
Oh my god.
What can I do to not get it?
Yeah, I'm trying to...
Because I'm not trying to get it.
No,
Crank the AC, maybe?
Is it?
It's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop. Are you planning on that?
Never.
Not really.
So then you're fine.
I mean, what more is there to say about this? You know, this guy is just a chronic liar, and he keeps inventing these increasingly elaborate lies. And it's all, to be clear, because he's being refuted on the basis of the facts by a bunch of YouTubers and Twitch streamers regarding Israel, Palestine, and his support of the genocide in Gaza. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite as pathetic as this, though I think the people who believe this are as pathetic or perhaps even more pathetic than him. They have to be pretending, to be honest. Anyway, Ethan's going to be dwelling on this for the rest of his life, but I'm not. So I just want to assure my viewers that I'm working on a main channel video. I have been for a while now. It's going to be on something totally unrelated to this and Israel, Palestine. And then I have a bunch of ideas after that because, you know, unlike Ethan Klein, I didn't get ass blasted so bad in the actual political argument that I'm now going to dwell on this for literally the rest of my life. Feels good to be able to work on actual things of importance rather than just torpedoing my own career by trying to play the victim day in and day out on my supposed comedy podcast where I'm sarcastic and I troll people. Isn't it funny that that was his reputation, and now he's the guy who falls for the most obvious trolls and invents the most ridiculous fake scenarios to try and play the victim? Ethan Klein is the sort of guy who he made fun of 10 years ago.
Ethan Klein needs to stop talking about Palestine because this man cannot take even the mildest of criticisms. He cannot reflect on any of the things that he has actually said. He wishes to live within a world in which neither he nor Hila have ever done anything wrong, that they are both actually some of the most pro-Palestinian content creators out there. And I had initially written out a whole script talking about Ethan Klein's first podcast episode reacting to iDubbbz's Content Cop because it was filled with many hilarious gems, such as when Ethan called Israel an inspiring example of coexistence. But there was one part of his second podcast episode reacting to iDubbbz's video which really leapt out to me, and it has derailed what I wanted to say really, because in it Ethan compares the experience of his wife Hila to that of Anissa, iDubbbz's wife, a Lebanese person, making it out as if Lebanon could in any way be portrayed as an aggressor who bears the same responsibility as Israel.
Part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well...
And sir, do you happen to know of any violence perhaps coming towards Israel where Hila grew up? Perhaps from Lebanon, Hezbollah, perhaps? Does that ring a bell to you, you dumb, ignorant? How dare you attempt to lecture me on this conflict? You just learned about this like 2 weeks ago, clearly, and you're just deferring to Hassan as an expert. It's mind-bendingly dumb. Bro, please call in and debate me on Israel-Palestine. Let's see who knows more about the conflict.
Now, I really hate how smarmy Ethan is in this clip. He makes out that he's some kind of expert on Israel and Palestine, when I, along with many other content creators, have exposed his totally lacking knowledge in this. And this is really a constant theme throughout both his podcast episodes, because he goes on and on about how proud he is of the content nuke on Hassan, how well-sourced it is.
Bro, he loves the out of context thing. Like, that video was so well sourced, the full context to everything.
But Ethan, in the first episode, literally pulled a fake quote.
Thinks Nasrallah is based, the guy who says we will hunt down the Jews wherever it's better that the Jews all go to Israel so that we don't have to hunt them down worldwide.
From that content nuke attributed to Syed Hassan Nasrallah that Ethan ripped from Wikipedia and then blackbarred so you couldn't see that even the Wikipedia article noted that the quote was most likely fake. Now, as much as Ethan loves to talk about Middle Eastern Jewish people and how they came to Israel, what I will say is Israel is undeniably a foreign implant in the Middle East. I mean, one of their key founders, Theodor Herzl, literally said of Zionism, "We should there form a portion of a rampart of Europe against Asia, an outpost of civilization as opposed to barbarism." And this is exactly what the Zionists saw themselves as doing. They practiced colonization in another people's land, and they saw themselves as redeeming it, doing away with the years that it had been in the hands of the useless and evil Palestinians. But ever since its inception, Israel has spent its time trying to alter the politics of the Middle East. And here, Ethan, I will note a difference between you and I, and also people who support you, because unlike you, I don't really draw that much from Wikipedia, unless I just want a quick source and I know that I have others to back it up, that is. So I will quote to you from 1949, The First Israelis, by Israeli historian Tom Segev. Now, Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, said, "The Muslim rule in Lebanon is artificial and easily undermined. A Christian state ought to be set up, whose southern border would be the Litani River, then we'll form an alliance with it." Now, this is basically Israel's first prime minister talking about demographically altering the country of Lebanon, getting rid of the Muslim population, and setting up a majority Christian state simply because it would be friendly with Israel. And Israel actually went on to do this. They sowed chaos in the country of Lebanon. People now like to blame the Palestinians, but the Israelis were funding a group called the Phalangists, whose founder, Pierre Gemayel, went to the Berlin Olympics in 1936 and was really inspired by what he saw and decided to go and establish himself a group called the Phalangists, inspired by the Nazi ideology. And these people were a particularly heinous group, and we'll get onto them in full later. But what I first want to talk about is how Israel actually tried to implement this. Now, you could have the example of 1982 1982, where Israel attempted to break the back of Palestinian nationalism by targeting the Palestine Liberation Organization. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin made the claim, oh, these evil terrorists want to do a second Holocaust to us. In fact, on the eve of the Israeli invasion of Lebanon, he literally said that there would be another Treblinka if Yasser Arafat and the Palestinian Liberation Organization weren't destroyed, claiming that, you know, they were evil terrorists who must be dealt with. And the justification, by the way, for invading Lebanon was the assassination of an Israeli diplomat, Shlomo Argov, who was targeted whilst in London, and although he did survive, he never really got out of bed again and he went on to die. But this guy wasn't even targeted by the PLO. He was targeted by a member of Abu Nidal, an anti-PLO organization. And so Israel, for this, went and invaded Lebanon. They went to destroy the PLO and went to try and set up a state where the Christian Maronites, particularly the Phalangists, would rule over the country. And in order to do this, Israel enacted a heinous bombing campaign that does not come close to anything that any Lebanese government or militant group have ever done to Israelis. On one singular day of bombing, on August the 12th, 1982, Israel killed 500 civilians in a singular day of bombing of Beirut. And this reached the point where Ronald Reagan, a staunchly pro-Israel Republican president, called Menachem Begin and told him that the symbol of his war was becoming a 7-month-old baby with its arms blown off. And he also told Begin that he was committing a Holocaust in Lebanon because of how atrocious the things that he was doing to the Lebanese people were. And you know, this was all really horrifying, but eventually Israel managed to get the PLO out of the country. But this wasn't good enough for Israel. Israel's leadership was very obsessed with the idea that some of the Palestinian Liberation Organization fighters remained within Lebanon, which really wasn't true. I mean, there are other accounts from senior Israeli officials that say the exact opposite, that there were maybe a few people left, but it wasn't major. But for Ariel Sharon, Israel's Minister of Defense, well, this just wasn't acceptable. And he told Morris Draper, an American diplomat, when he told him that he didn't want to see people being killed by the Lebanese in camps, we will kill them. They will not be left there. You are not going to save them. You are not going to save these groups of international terrorism. If you don't want the Lebanese to kill them, we will kill them. And even though one of the conditions for PLO militants leaving Lebanon had been that Palestinian civilians would have been protected, Israel didn't abide by this, and those phalangists that I mentioned earlier, well, their leader, Gemayel, was assassinated, and of course the PLO were blamed, even though it wasn't them. And so Israel and Ariel Sharon let the phalangists go into the Sabra and Shatila refugee camps and perpetrate mass rape, mass torture, summary executions, mutilation of bodies, alleged stories where the fetus was cut out of a pregnant woman's belly and left on the floor, people stabbed, babies stabbed. I mean, the scale of it was far bigger than October the 7th. Perhaps up to 3,000 or 3,500 people were killed inside these camps. And you may be saying, well, Israel didn't do it, that's okay. Well, they fired flares in the air so the phalangists could do it. They knew what the phalangists were doing. They were the ones who had trained the phalangists, armed them. They controlled the area, let them go in. In fact, a Norwegian who was in the area at the time said that the IOF had full view of a bulldozer digging a mass grave. And in fact, this wasn't even the first time that the phalangists had been allowed to do this. In Tel al-Zata, 1,500 Palestinian and Lebanese civilians were massacred. And often people like to claim that, you know, Israel's gone down this dark path. Maybe they highlight how the Likud party in particular has turned Israel into this horrible place. But the Labour Party in Israel in the 1970s had no problem with the Tel al-Zata massacre. In fact, this is what Likud members were saying to members of the Labour Party in the 1980s in the wake of Sabra and Shatila. Ariel Sharon would go on to say, "We did not criticize you for supporting the Christians. I am talking about a moral aspect. You kept on supporting the Christians even after the Tel al-Zata massacre. The information about the massacre and its cruelty was in everyone's possession." Sharon told member of the Knesset Yitzhak Rabin, "We had already known what they had done done with the weapons we supplied and the forces we helped them build. However, we did not criticize you. And this is how both political parties in Israel dealt with massacres of Palestinian and Lebanese civilians that eclipse anything on the scale of October the 7th. And you know, inside Israel proper, there was actually a very big reaction to what had happened in Sabra and Shatila. There was a march with 400,000 people, a rather large percentage of the Israeli adult population. And as a result, Menachem Begin and Ariel Sharon stepped down from their positions after the Israeli Kahan Commission found that they were both complicit in Sabra and Shatila. But the Israelis still went on to elect Ariel Sharon as their prime minister in 2002, and he oversaw more slaughter of Palestinians, more destruction of their lives and townships. And yet you sit here and you cannot understand why someone might say, well, actually, yeah, a Lebanese person has a much different experience to that of an Israeli. Israelis have sat pretty. Yes, they have experienced violence and civilians being killed, but nothing on the scale of what Israel has done to Lebanon. And Israel did this not in pursuit of terrorists, but to alter the politics of the region, to set up a state there that was sympathetic to them, that might normalize relations with them. And you sit there and act as if Lebanon are the aggressors. It is frankly disgusting. It is like how you cannot understand how the Do Not Worry podcast was not upset at all about Israelis fleeing a rocket attack and a siren. The reason that people from the region think like this is well documented in an article by Norman Finkelstein in the early 1990s about Palestinian reactions to Saddam Hussein firing Scud missiles at Israel. And when he asked them why did they whoop and cheer at the prospect of Israeli civilians being targeted, all of them said it wasn't really actually about civilians being killed. It was Israelis feeling like they did for once. Feeling like they did when their homes were bombed and destroyed, experiencing the fear and terror of Israeli raids and oppression. For that one moment, Israelis had to experience what every single Lebanese person has experienced through bouts of mass slaughter. And even then, just hearing sirens and getting to hide in your bunker doesn't compare to what Israel has done to the Lebanese people. And this is why it just irks me so much that Ethan sits there and talks about history, because anyone with any knowledge of history should be able to say, well, actually, what the IOF have done to Lebanese people far eclipses what it has ever been done to Israeli civilians, and any politics must therefore center the people of Lebanon, the people of Palestine, rather than the feelings of Israeli people. And Ethan, if you want to see the distinction that you make between us and them, which was the center of my previous video, you are so quick to explain, well, Israelis have difficult choices to make. All these crazy things happen there. People want to defend their homeland. And, oh, what was Israel supposed to do after October the 7th? But what were Lebanese people and Palestinians supposed to do after Sabra and Shatila? Or all those other mass bouts of slaughter? They never got revenge. They never got anything in return. They set up armed groups who you dismiss as violent and irrational monsters. But Israelis, well, you know, it's understandable, and it's a fantasy to think that Israel may have to behave differently, even though they are the ones who have undeniably perpetrated the worst crimes against innocent civilians. And this is just where one of my key problems with Ethan lies. He just always centers Israeli feelings. He always goes on and on about anti-Semitism, which of course is most definitely a real thing that Jewish people experience. But Ethan, you sit pretty in Los Angeles right now. You are a multi-millionaire living in a mansion, and you are talking about your feelings. You highlight From the River to the Sea, and Gila chimes in and says, well, why don't they use a different slogan?
Talking about all Palestinian lands. Once again, that's funny because it's exactly related to what he accuses me of spreading Israeli propaganda about. My point is when Israelis hear From the Ocean to the Sea, they hear all of Israel. And guess what? That's what the guy from Hamas is saying on the screen of the clip you showed.
I don't understand. If a movement is for peace between two people and one people is telling you they're not comfortable with the statement, shouldn't we change the statement to something that both people can get behind?
No, because
if we are
they'll
for
say,
peace.
right. Well, people will say that Israel's the aggressor, so they shouldn't have to adjust anything.
Yeah, but that's like watered down American version of what's happening there.
Once again, the people who do nothing wrong when it comes to Palestine can't admit that Israel is an aggressor. Both of them think that Israel occupies Palestinian land illegally, settles it, perpetrates genocide and all of these things, but they don't see these as aggressive acts which provoke retaliations against Israel. Instead, that's a watered-down American understanding of Palestine. But ultimately, the call from the river to the sea is a demand for the liberation of all of historic Palestine, not just the occupied territories. Ethan and Gila seem to have absolutely no problem with the 1948 Nakba, the fact that 750,000 Palestinians were expelled. Many of them were sent on death marches, and since they have never been allowed to return. Many people still languish in refugee camps in places like Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, not being allowed to return to their homes. The people of Gaza, some of them can literally see where their homes and lands once were, but they're now occupied by Israelis. So the call from the river to the sea is not problematic. Rather, it is a demand for full Palestinian liberation. People are being burnt alive right now, en masse in Palestine. Children by the dozen. Homes being collapsed on entire families. People are being tortured in Israeli jails to death, including minors. And yet you want to talk about your feelings and whether a slogan is offensive to Israeli people. I am sorry, but Israelis en masse are not opposing what is happening in the Gaza Strip. There's been no mass dissent. It's only really come recently when they're worried about the fate of Israeli hostages. There has been no mass disobedience over the last 18 months in Israel. There has been no major reaction against what Israel is doing. It's only really centered on their complaints around Netanyahu and the threats to Israel's faux democracy, and Netanyahu going full genocidal and making it obvious to the rest of the world what Israel always was. In fact, in that article by Norman Finkelstein, which I mentioned earlier, there is a fantastic quote from Mattiyahu Peled, who was a founding member of the Progressive List for Peace, talking about the Israeli peace movement, Peace Now, and what he said was that it's one of the worst things that ever happened to us. Nice people in Israel who feel unhappy with the situation but are not prepared to do anything about it. They get together twice or 3 times a year, and as the saying goes here, they give their conscience to the laundry. They get it back cleaned up and they go back home happy and satisfied. There is nothing more to it than that. They stand at a demonstration, they shout a few slogans, they go home satisfied that they have done the job, but they are not prepared to shake the system. So this is a substitute for real action. And I must remind you that Ethan and Gila have openly stated their opposition to people in Israel actually taking direct action against the Israeli occupation and the genocide in Gaza. Ethan said that it was a necessity to serve in the IOF.
It's important to serve like everybody else in the country. I mean, it's a very selfish move to decide, okay, I'm not going to do it, but everybody else will.
Like Israel as a place, the mentality of growing up there, like everybody feels an obligation to protect, to serve, to nurture this place that feels like the only place in the world where they can live and be Jewish and not be like discriminated.
I mean, when you're growing up with constant terror attacks, the army is a necessity.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if people think that's a controversial statement. That is the reality of Israel. So for one person to decide, I'm not going to do it, is a very selfish decision, and it helps nothing with your career afterwards. You finish it, then you start your actual life.
Yourself. It's just normal.
They both said that it was a selfish thing to not do Israeli national service. And this is where the problem lies. Ethan loves to highlight, oh, there's loads of peaceful Israelis. But when they actually take an action, he's openly disagreed with the small handful of young people like Tal Mitnick who take action. A minimal action, I must remind you. Something which Tal even said to me himself. The organization Mesavrot is small, but it is growing inside Israel. There are more and more people who don't want to be complicit in Israel's occupation, their genocidal crimes in the Gaza Strip. And yet, as I say, Ethan said that this was a selfish thing to do. It is utterly ridiculous. And their argument, by the way, for it being selfish was that, oh, it's not actually good for your career to be in the IOF. This is categorically untrue. It is a good thing. Many people who have served in parts of the IOF, such as Unit 8200, have gone on to get illustrious jobs working for companies like Google. And if you ever wanted to see how awful Ethan really is at confronting even mild criticism of him, one part of iDubbbz's video was dedicated to talking about Ethan's button, the kill switch. And what iDubbbz had to say was that Ethan should have corrected his behavior behavior. And Ethan did talk about this in the second podcast episode. And what he said was, oh, it saved us loads of money, and oh, you shouldn't show things to the world. We all wish we could have one. But I'm going to be honest, if I had a podcast, I don't think that I would say half the things that Ethan does, or that I would constantly need to censor myself. In fact, I've been live over and over again, and I haven't once thought, oh God, I wish I could have paused that live, because I actually care about what I'm saying. I know and understand politics, and I don't just say whatever I want because I'm not a moron. But the funniest part is that it is very clear in the first part of Ethan's video that he literally used the button in the way that iDubbbz criticized him for. He used it like a tyrant, and a few extra seconds that were available on Spotify give us just a little glimpse into how Ethan treats his employees when they dare to confront him.
Authorities block healthcare to Gaza. Again, I'm not. Do you think that I'm talking about walking around Gaza? When I say how great multicultural it is,
We never defended how Israel attacked Gaza since October 7th, not even once. We never co-signed what they did.
Is that not the point he's making, though?
What?
That you're you're talking about how nice Israel is, but
Israel proper is different from Gaza.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Millions
right now, say
Muslims in Israel.
I guess that's what.
As you can see, AB for raising a reasonable criticism and highlighting what iDubbbz was actually trying to say about Ethan was shouted down by both Ethan and Healer, and then Ethan proceeded to hold down the button for 45 seconds, which by the way is triple the length of what it normally does, no doubt to chastise AB as he previously did at another point. And after this point, AB didn't appear in the podcast, and Olivia, who also spoke up, didn't say anything else. In fact, AB seemingly didn't even return for the second podcast episode. Perhaps he was expelled by Ethan for daring to criticize him over his terrible views. And I don't think you could ever ask for a better example of why Ethan will never watch a video by someone like me, because all of my criticism is well researched. Ethan has absolutely no response to it because he is someone who doesn't actually know anything about Israel, Palestine, or politics. This is just a guy who speaks from having lived in Israel for a bit, whose wife literally served the Israeli occupation, which he claims he opposes. Ethan acts as if people target him on the basis of anti-Semitism. But Ethan, it is not because of anti-Semitism. It is because you are unwilling to confront that you have ever done anything wrong. I mean, he tries to dismiss the Yoav Gallant thing here.
Gallant wanted to end the war. In the headlines at the time, he was in the headlines for opposing Netanyahu and wanting to end the war. That's what he was in the headlines for, and that's what we're referring to. We misspoke. It didn't sound good. We immediately corrected ourselves. You know, that's how mature people do. That's how you're supposed to handle yourself, isn't it? Like, what more do you want me to do?
I have no problem apologizing and admitting and whatever is needed when things happen.
Him and Healer give an explanation that, oh, we apologize for it and it's okay, even though Ethan did actually take to his story to defend what Healer had actually said on the podcast. And she also tried to claim that the clip of her saying, I mean, in response to hearing Rudy Giuliani talk about Palestinians being trained to kill Americans from a very young age was somehow not true. And let's here be as charitable as possible to Ethan and Healer and say, yeah, you know what, these two were just mistakes and that's okay. You definitely didn't mean them and they definitely aren't unacceptable. Well, this isn't even the half of what you two have said. As I highlighted in my previous video, Ethan has said over and over again that he is proud of what his wife did in the IOF. He says, oh, take the context out. I'm proud of it. She literally served the occupation. He said that Hamas uses and hides in hospitals and that isn't even up for debate, even though that claim is totally untrue and inaccurate and is literally facilitating Israel's genocide right now. I mean, Israel just bombed the Al Ahli Baptist Hospital. They just blew up the Turkish Cancer Hospital. They are expelling people from hospitals under this faux idea that they are Hamas bases. And this is a key facet of Israel's genocide, the destruction of healthcare infrastructure within Gaza so people cannot live there. And you, Ethan Klein, defended it. And rather than avow that, you claim that people just go after you because of anti-Semitism, that all you do is show sympathy for Israelis. It is so ridiculous and utterly pathetic. Even the clip which AB was responding to shows the problem with you, because what Ethan said was that it is okay to go to Israel proper, which refers to Israel that is not the occupied territories of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, Gaza Strip and Golan Heights, but actually just Israel proper, which refers to the 48 borders of Israel. And he says, well, I think there's an apartheid in all these other places. I think that there's a genocide and all these horrifying things going on. But I think that Israel proper is an inspiring example of coexistence.
It's not weird. They live together, you know. In the West Bank and in Gaza, it's a completely different story, which I say. But I think it's inspiring that you see that it's possible. It is possible for Arabs and Muslims and Jews to live together in harmony, and they do in Israel proper.
But Ethan, to say that you think that there is apartheid in the West Bank and Gaza, you also forgot East Jerusalem, which is also illegally occupied by Israel, by the way, Mr. Historian, Mr. Expert. But if you genuinely think that, what you are saying here is like saying, well, South Africa proper is a shining example of coexistence because most of the oppression and racism is kept to the Bantustans. But Ethan, where do you think the people instituting the apartheid system are from? They live in Israel proper. Where do you think the government who decrees, yeah, we're going to do these things in the Gaza Strip and East Jerusalem is from? Israel proper. They themselves literally believe that the West Bank is part of Israel. It's why they call it Judea and Samaria. It's a religiously motivated, fanatical dream that they deserve all of historical Palestine, and they are administering apartheid there. So for all intents and purposes, this is part of Israel proper. You can't just dismiss it and say, well, I like it there. It is, as I say, like saying you liked South Africa whilst it was an apartheid state because they did most of the bad things on the Bantustans. Every single year, there is a Death to Arabs march in Jerusalem. Tens of thousands of Israelis, including government officials, by the way, congregate in the streets to march through the Arab section, chanting death to Arabs, may your village burn, smashing up Palestinian shops and attacking Palestinian shop owners. And that to you is a shining example of coexistence where you want to take your kids. I am sorry, Ethan. The vast majority of Israelis support the genocide in the Gaza Strip. The vast majority of Israelis support Israel's plan to expel 2 million Palestinians. You cannot reconcile and pretend, yeah, all the bad things just happen in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. No, Ethan, this is what Israel proper looks like.
Again, this is what I'm saying. They're acting like Israel proper, which there's 2 million Palestinians living there in Israel with full rights. People just lie about the conditions there. They say that like Israel or Palestinians are second-class citizens in Israel, and or that like
universities. You go to universities. There are so many Muslim students. Hospitals, Muslim doctors. It's like, it's not what people portray
Judges,
as.
Governments.
They are in the government.
But even then, this claim by Ethan and Healer that Israel proper is not some kind of apartheid state because, you know, they lived beside Arabs, there are Arabs in the government, is so funny. And I really just want to talk about this Arabs in the government thing, because this is something Zionists always do. They always go, well, there's Arabs in the government, but they never actually know what these Arabs in government are saying, because in 2018, Israel passed the nation-state law, and this is one of the reasons that you could never call Israel a shining example of coexistence, an inspiring example of coexistence, as Ethan puts it, because this law said that settlement of Palestinian land was a national value, that only Jewish people were allowed to exercise self-determination, and also relegated Arabic to a language of special status, but no longer an official language. And the reason that I bring up Arab members of the Israeli Knesset is because Ayman Odeh, the leader of the Arab opposition party, literally referred to this as a law which relegates Palestinians to being second-class citizens. So how dare you sit there and use this as some kind of example of, yeah, actually there's brilliant coexistence because they have politicians, when these people are literally criticizing it as a Jewish supremacist nation. You are so ridiculous. And this is what I mean when you can't avow that you've ever done anything wrong, that you have to sit there and pretend that it's, you know, minimal things, that it's only a couple of things. No, Ethan, it is a long pattern of spreading Israeli talking points to justify Israel's crimes against the Palestinian people. And on this topic of Jim Crow policies in Israel, here's a former American politician, Dov Zakheim, talking about how Israel's finance minister Bezalel Smotrich in 2023 tried to implement laws which he did successfully that were very similar to Jim Crow era, that targeted Palestinians, cut funding for their neighborhoods, which are already underfunded in Israel, by the way. And yet you just sit here and act as if it's only mega lefties that say this. Again, this guy worked for the US government. And then there are so many other laws within Israel proper that clearly just discriminate against Palestinians on the basis of their race. For example, there are family unification laws which are only applied to Palestinians. So if a Palestinian who lives in Israel proper marries a Palestinian who lives in the Gaza Strip or West Bank, Israel literally has a law since 2003 which has banned over and over again those families from reuniting inside Israel proper and often inside even the occupied territories. And the reason Israel does this is so they can expel Palestinians without having to do it, because if you really want to be with your partner, what are you going to do? You'll leave the country and Israel will never allow you to come back. And then you also have the very different ways in which Palestinians are surveilled in comparison to Israelis. Because when it comes to Palestinians, they can get arrested for social media posts showing solidarity with the people of Gaza. They could be arrested for, supporting Hamas. They could be thrown in jail for years, tortured without trial, and so many other things. But when it comes to Israelis, well, you can appear on television and violate the UN Convention on Genocide Prevention, calling for all Palestinians to be wiped out, calling for them to be expelled, and that's just fine. You won't be arrested as you should be under the UN Convention. No, you might be given a new job, you might be promoted. Maybe Netanyahu will let you go carry out the genocide. And so do you not see that Palestinians cannot express dissent, whereas Israelis can? They're affected by different laws, and yet you still sit there and call it a shining example of coexistence. Ethan, just because you lived there and lived alongside Palestinians, that did not mean that they lived equally. They cannot express full solidarity with the suffering Palestinians in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, East Jerusalem, or any of these places, whereas Israelis can call for genocide. You are so ridiculous. As the 2018 nation-state law enshrines, these people have to say that, settlement of our land in the West Bank, well, that's just our national value, We can't exercise self-determination here. That's only for the Jewish people, because it's this wonderful space of coexistence, Now, as another means to avoid any questions about Ethan's actual ideology, he tried to make it seem as if all of the criticism against him was anti-Semitic. He claimed that Hassan had a swastika sword in his house, which him and his other crew members were endorsing, even though it was just a sword from a character in an anime. And he also tried to claim that iDubbbz was being anti-Semitic and engaging in Holocaust denial by talking about Israel's cultural appropriation of Palestinian food to try and make the Zionist project seem more Middle Eastern.
He's also doing, once again, almost a form of Holocaust denialism, which is basically diaspora apologia, basically saying that hummus is not Jewish food.
Oh.
He says there's no Arab distributors.
I don't think that's Holocaust denial.
No, but I'm correcting myself because I think it's close. When you deny the Jewish the way that all 900,000 Jews were displaced.
Yeah, from other countries in the Middle East. I get that.
Denying that is, in my opinion, a form of Holocaust.
But the Holocaust is a specific thing that happened in Europe. You can just.
It's a way.
I think you need to
it's
frame
historic.
it differently.
It's anti-Semitic historical revisionism. How about that?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is absolutely ridiculous, and Ethan loves to talk about the expulsion, the flight of Jewish people from the Middle Eastern countries. I mean, he never contextualizes it with, well, a lot of this was to do with the founding of the State of Israel, the degrading relationships between the two, and also the fact that why did Mizrahi Jewish people only start coming after the Second World War? Why weren't they welcomed really at any point before that? Because the only point they had been, some Yemeni Jewish people were brought on in very early. They were treated with horrific racism, even with spiritualist left-wing Zionists like Ahad Ham, Asher Ginsburg. You can literally read what he thought about Yemeni Jewish people here. Or you could read this quote from David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister in the 1960s, when he said, "The Moroccan Jew took a lot from the Moroccan Arab. The culture of Morocco I would not like to have here, and I don't see what contribution present Persians have to make. We do not want Israelis to become Arabs. We are in duty bound to fight against the spirit of the Levant, which corrupts individuals and societies and preserve the authentic Jewish values as they crystallized in the diaspora." And this fits perfectly with what the Zionist project did. They only brought Mizrahi people over after the Holocaust because Europe was closed off to Jewish immigration. And when they welcomed them over, they treated them horribly. There are so many examples of this, like the Yemeni baby affair, where Yemeni children were stolen from Jewish parents, and then the parents were told that the children had died, even though they had not died, and they'd actually been given to Ashkenazi couples. And the people who fought against this, like Uzi Meshulam, a Yemeni rabbi, was treated like an evil conspiracy theorist, even though he was proved right. And Israel apologized only a few years ago. And I'd also like to highlight this quote from a senior Israeli politician, which discusses Israel's motivation in evacuating Jewish people from the Arab countries. And it says that the need was not the need to rescue them, but the need to create a Hebrew majority in Eretz Yisrael. And there you have it. Ethan, you speak about this as if it was some uniform expulsion that came out of nowhere, that it is somehow akin to the Holocaust, that it is revision of Jewish history to talk about, yeah, Israel didn't actually want this culture and has only recently embraced it as a means to try and demonstrate that it is not a settler colonial nation because people like you think that colonizers can only be white. But in reality, the expulsion and the existence of Mizrahi people within Israel is very complex. You could actually read people like Ella Shohat, herself an Iraqi Jewish person, talking about this, or you could just carry on listening to Israeli state propaganda. And this would be the key point, Ethan. Of course, Mizrahi Jewish people participated in Arab culture. They lived and existed within that environment for hundreds of years. But Israel appropriates their culture and uses it as a means to make themselves seem more Middle Eastern, even though it is a settler colonial project that, as its early leaders put it, was a means to extend Europe into the Middle East. It wasn't just Herzl. Max Nordau said exactly the same things. So when you sit there and go, well, it's anti-Semitic Holocaust revisionism to talk about this, it's just utterly ridiculous. And also, Ethan justified supporting Israel by claiming that 80% of Israeli Jews had nowhere else to go. I mean, what that means, I don't know. But it's important to note here that many people who actually work in the One Democratic State campaign, yes, not just saying one democratic state, people who actually are working towards this, discuss how this future will include all Israelis and Palestinians. The right of return for Palestinians will be implemented, but not with mass expulsion of Jewish people who actually live in historic Palestine. However, at the same time, I would like to read a quote from the Israeli historian Tom Segev. Segev recently wrote, "At the age of 80, I'm starting to think that maybe it wasn't right from the outset, the whole Zionist thing. Most Israelis are refugees or the offspring of refugees, not Zionists but refugees. So you'll say, well, that justifies Zionism because this was a land they were able to come to. But we need to remember that the majority of the Holocaust survivors did not come to live in Israel, and that the majority of Jews in the world are not coming to Israel. They can, but they don't want to live in this country. So Zionism is not such a great success story. It also doesn't provide security to Jews. It's safer for Jews to live outside Israel." And Ethan, you proved this in your video. You say that you've had to cancel your trip to Israel because you don't want your children to be exposed to potentially rocket sirens or something else happening inside Israel.
A peace
We put the
deal or something to go into effect.
Yeah, we put the visit off while the war is
Because we want to come with the kids, and
I don't want them to have to deal with sirens and seeing all that shit, hearing all that shit, you know.
But that's just not going to happen to them inside America. You and your children are incredibly safe. You are not going to be subjected to violence because although America is a settler colony, it doesn't have an open frontier of settlement right now. And as many of the most eminent historians who discuss the concept of the frontier have noted, anytime frontiers expand, it provokes violence. And so as long as Israel keeps on expanding into Palestinian land, it is always going to be met with violence. It is never going to be this safe and wonderful project as you try and make out. It is a complete and utter failure, and your desire to cling to the state of Israel and act as if it is wonderful, a beacon of coexistence, is frankly ridiculous. It is a state that was begun with the expulsion of 750,000 people, the instant removal, lightning quick, of 750,000 people. Israeli settlers literally moved into Palestinian homes. They took pots, pans, photo albums, everything that you could possibly imagine from people's homes. So Ethan, anyone who is genuinely committed to Palestinian liberation is of course against anti-Semitism. None of us support the extermination of Jewish people on the basis of their race. This is the whole basis of the rejection of Zionism. We reject the Zionist project because it is an ethno-supremacist project which has justified the extermination of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and the expulsion and destruction of the lives of millions more. Israel now heads towards expelling 2 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. It is increasingly looking like it will probably end up doing something similar in the West Bank and East Jerusalem in the near future, and perhaps one day it will try and do it inside Israel proper as well. So why you cling to this state is beyond me. You cannot sit there and say, well, most Jews are Zionists and that makes it okay. The statistic that 90% of Jewish people are Zionists isn't even correct. But if it were, it wouldn't change anything. I'm sure that many white people supported apartheid. I'm sure that many white people didn't see a problem with colonialism. But we do now. We have grown and we have changed. And I see Zionism for what it is. It was always a movement premised on the fact that the Palestinian people, who made up the vast majority of the inhabitants of that land, did not have a right because they were further from the proximity to Europeans. I mean, as I noted in a previous video, it's what Arthur Balfour said. He said that he didn't care what the 700,000 Palestinians wanted, even though they were the majority. What mattered to him was what Jewish people who did not live in that land wanted. And this is why I have to question what point there is in supporting Israel. There will always be Jewish people who exist there. Ethan tries to dismiss the idea that Israel is a state which says that it represents all Jewish people. He said, I don't think Israel have ever said that. Netanyahu categorically has said that at certain points. He said it whilst he was in Paris in 2015. He said that he was the representative of all Jewish people there. Israel refers to itself as a Jewish state. They talk about policies of Judaizing, where they move Jewish people into the land. They say that Jewish settlement is a national value. They welcome every single Jewish person from all across the world, even if they don't have links to the land of Palestine. You yourself, Ethan, could go there and settle there, even though your ancestors didn't live there, because it is a state for Jewish people. So this idea that Israel somehow has never said that it is a Jewish state, when it uses the Star of David, a Jewish symbol, as its flag, as it has over and over again talked about how it has revitalized the Jewish people, is farcical. I mean, I don't even understand why you are doing this at this point, Ethan. Why are you saying these things? Ultimately, it is not the state of Israel which matters. States do not have innate rights to exist. They are creations of the human mind. There have always been Jewish people living in historic Palestine. However, this amount was small until the Zionist project came with the explicit goal of settling Palestinian land and establishing a settler colony there that would not include the Palestinian indigenous society. And Israel, throughout its entire history, has moved closer and closer to the erasure of Palestinian culture in that land. So Ethan, don't bother clinging to the state. Israel is not some wonderful guarantee that all Jewish people will be safe. There's actually a fantastic article by an Israeli called Boaz Evron, written in the 1980s, where he talks about how this idea that it is the state which will protect Jewish people is farcical, because millions of other people were slaughtered during the Holocaust who had actual states. Polish people, people from Russia, the Soviet Union. People were slaughtered regardless of being protected by an army. What mattered to Evrom was the goal of moving towards stamping out the kind of ideologies that led to Nazism, the kind of justifications for subjugating others. And unfortunately, this is all the Zionist project is. From its very inception, it has always been premised on the fact that the indigenous Palestinian society was not deserving of the land. And thus, in order to move forward, you must abandon Zionism.
I am of two minds when it comes to Pete Hegseth, because on one hand, if we're going to have destruction of our government functioning or, sort of slash and burn tactics, I think I would prefer it to happen with our military, because we seem to have so much redundancy, waste, and unnecessary expenditures and global size. I don't know if we're up to 1,000 bases around the world now. It seems out of fashion to count how many we have. And despite the fact that we have one of the most peace-loving presidents, maybe in the history of the country, we have been now bombing the Houthis in Yemen for close to 45 days. I think it may be even a little bit more.
On Israel's behalf, essentially, because the Houthis in Yemen have been engaging in a shipping blockade off of their own shores, which is kind of a tactic that's been used throughout time immemorial by nations. But the United States calls that terrorism.
Because they were observing the ceasefire, too, just to add on to what you're saying, until Israel broke the ceasefire.
Yes, and they've been engaging in the blockade to put pressure on Israel and the United States to stop funding this genocide of the Palestinians.
And let's be clear, U.S. shipping through in that lane is, I think, in single digits percentage-wise. If not, then just slightly more. And for a country that claims to want to impose tariffs and force some type of parity between us and the rest of the world, why would we be there protecting the shipping lanes for other countries?
J.D. Vance said that in the leaked chat, which was saying that this might be incongruent with our more isolationist messaging on Europe, because they were claiming it was to help the Europeans.
It's funny you bring up group chat, because we know that because Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, set up a group chat on Signal, which is an app that you can't install on government devices. And
well, you can, but you can't do privileged communications on that. You can't do classified communications on it.
Well, I mean, plans to attack a country, specific plans when planes and whatnot are taking off, why would that be classified?
Right.
That was the chat where they accidentally added a reporter. Well, it turns out that Pete Hegseth had another Signal chat on his own personal phone again. And this one included all the people, if you're Defense Department Secretary, that you need to bounce off to, the details of an imminent attack about 2 hours out, 3 hours out. Various aides, his private attorney, who recently got recommissioned to work as, I guess, a JAG in the Navy, so that he could be close to Pete. His brother, who has nothing to do with these type of attacks, and of course his wife. Because here's the thing that I found when I was married. There would be a lot of times I'd have work communication, but then my wife might say, hey, will you pick up something at the supermarket? combining that is a stroke of genius.
Absolutely.
So
it's called the Department of Government Efficiency.
Exactly. So there's this, honey, will you pick up some stuff at the supermarket? Yes. And incidentally, in 2 hours, we've got these type of jets flying off of this carrier and those type of missiles that will be hitting this target. And I thought you should just know.
Well, he's got to be open and transparent with her, and she probably has some rules about that given past behavior.
Oh, well, that also could be part of it. I want to hear everything, including the top secret stuff. So, Heggs's wife, Jennifer, and to be fair, she's probably qualified to have this information because she was a former Fox News producer, was on the chat called, and this was apparently a chat that was set up prior to his confirmation, called Defense Team Huddle.
Let's go, team. Let's kill those civilians in Yemen on behalf of Israel.
Hegseth shared information, this from the New York Times, about the Yemen strikes in the Defense Team Huddle chat. At roughly the same time, he was putting the same details in the other Signal chat group that included senior U.S. officials and, inadvertently, the Atlantic magazine. This is people familiar with Hegseth's chat group. The Defense Team Huddle Signal chat until recently included about a dozen of Mr. Hegseth's top aides, including Joe Casper, Mr. Hegseth's chief of staff, and Mr. Parnell, who is the Pentagon chief spokesperson. The chat also included two senior advisors to Mr. Hegseth, Dan Caldwell and Darren Selnick, who were accused of leaking unauthorized information last week and were fired. Caldwell and Selnick were among three former top Pentagon officials who proclaimed their innocence in a public statement on Saturday in response to the leak inquiry that led to their dismissals. Now, it's unclear what they are accused of leaking, but my guess is that since that time of their firing, they may have leaked this. But here is Pete Hegseth explaining all of this away. It makes total sense when you hear him.
Let's hear him out.
He was at the Easter egg event on the White House lawn. Now, this is the one where I think all of the cabinet officials had to wear patches. Maybe it's on his back. We can't see it. Of the company that's sponsoring them for the day. That's the way they raised it.
Like the NASCAR jackets?
Exactly. I mean, who knows what's on the back of there? It could be, he could have a Meta patch or something like that on the back of his sport coat.
What do you want to say, sir, about the Signal chat controversy?
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people.
It's really I'm sorry. Can we pause it for a second? Because like the last time he did this denial with the nobody was texting war plans, he looks right into the lens. He breaks the fourth wall. It's a tell for him. Also, people on the internet pointed out that he only has one sideburn shaved.
Wait, what? Which sideburn does he have?
So this one is significantly, the one on the left side of his face as we see him is significantly longer than the one on the right. And once I've said that, you're not going to be able to notice anything else in this clip. So that's why I didn't say it up top.
He was in a hurry, I guess.
To be fair, he probably is shaving past, after, 5:30 a.m. And we know, 5 o'clock is when you can start drinking.
Right.
He just gets rid of the a.m. or the p.m., I think, is probably... I think what he's also doing is he looks into this camera. I think there's a bunch of other cameras. And I think he's like taking his turn, looking straight into these cameras. And that's how you know he's telling the truth.
I feel like that's too much like, oh, you came straight from Fox News into this role, because normal people who have your position don't do that all the time.
Right. No, of course not.
Also,
that's his scam. But let's just be clear.
But how can it be the fake news? I'm sorry. And also the disgruntled employees confirm leaking to the press.
Exactly.
It can't both be that the media is making it up, and he basically confirms that those people who they threw under the bus, Caldwell, Selnick, Carroll, Casper, these are the 4 that were fired because of this first signal gate. Then they're talking to the press saying, hey, we got screwed over. It wasn't our bad.
You know, that also raises the question of who are you sharing these details with? If it is this easy for this stuff to come out publicly now, right? Like, where it's quite clear who it is ultimately gave this stuff. How hard would it have been for any of these people to sort of like signal to advance? I mean, we know of at least 30 people now who are on these publicly available. I mean, these are insecure devices, and any sort of country, whether friend or foe, that has any type of intelligence agency, which is virtually all of them, the first thing they're going to do is try and bug the personal phones of people entering into government, and particularly those who are maybe coming from an arena where they haven't had to do this in the past, like, say, the weekend hosts of Fox and Friends. And the idea that this information, battle plans, you want to keep out of the hands of people, just the fact that they fire people who have the ability to expose this is indication that they have been really mismanaging their OPSEC, as it were.
Yeah, these haters who know everything that is outside the lines that we're doing.
Yeah, let's make them really mad by firing them so we can protect Pete. Like, it would have just been so much smarter for Trump to fire Pete Hegseth, and then he wouldn't have had to deal with any of this, because Hegseth's already, like, I mean, he's playing with house money here. He shouldn't be in this position.
Hegseth, it would be easy to fire Hegseth, except for the fact that, like, every time Hegseth needs Trump to stick up for him, that makes Hegseth that much more willing to do whatever Trump tells him to.
I think Trump also likes him because of all of the skeletons in his closet, too, because he thinks he's more easily controllable.
Without a doubt.
And time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees. And burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because, you know, this is what we're doing.
Now he's introducing everybody to who is on the Signal chat. My dad's over there. He was on the chat. Here's my kids. They were on the chat. This is my kids' elementary school teacher. We put them on the chat. Kids are getting good grades now. Go ahead.
Maybe have the kids go play instead of backing you up on your media
exactly.
hit.
Come over here and defend Dad.
He's learned from Elon.
These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. This group, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind, and then you put it all together.
Pause it. Wait a second.
News.
How do we know they're anonymous sources, but he knows who they are?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's admitting that it's the disgruntled people. Yeah.
One, if it's disgruntled leakers,
right,
it can't be a hoax. But also, what do you mean? They're anonymous. You clearly know who it is. They were people who were on this chat.
Right, who you then fired. Then on Saturday they put out a letter, some of them saying this was unfair. And then what do you know? On Sunday, there's a report about that Hegseth added them to his second chat.
All right, let's see who else he was involved in this chat. I think he's got all of them. He brought them all to the thing today.
Anonymous sources from leakers with access to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And you know exactly what it is.
With big breasts? Is that what he was trying to say there? Wait a second, go back. Hold on for a second. Why did he say
news story? He's like, it's a hefty. It's got girth. It's got
access to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know it, you know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the president, fighting hard across the board, and I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs with my kids. Thank you very much. I have spoken to the president, and we are going to continue fighting on the same page all the way.
Crazy to have your kids though.
Unbelievable. Kids, I need you guys to back me up here.
Oh, I tried my soundboard, but the nobody was texting war plans one was right there. We'll figure that out, but yeah. I don't know. Does he survive this?
Yeah.
Okay, probably.
100%. 100%. I mean, it'll take a while, but there's going to be more, I would imagine. It doesn't seem like they have really locked this thing up much.
Like, Biden had those classified files that he reported that were at his personal home, and then asked his own Department of Justice to appoint a special counsel to look into if any information was leaked. Like, the idea that this would happen for this administration is so laughable, but like, that's a way bigger breach than Biden hanging on to some classified material accidentally and then reporting it, and then they did a double check with a DOJ special counsel investigation. Like, this is such an enormous leak that in any other situation they would have the DOJ look into it.
Oh, my God!
Yeah,
I mean, I got to tell you that if I had anybody close to me, if I was in the military, I'd be a little bit concerned about, how secure things are. I don't know that I would want to go out on some type of mission when you've got this type of like sieve. It's a sieve. That's it. I mean,
if they take some sort of casualty, if someone gets shot down or a boat gets blown up or something like that, they're going to investigate it and see all of this lack of discipline.
Well, you also wonder, would you hear about it? Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.
I can't believe the Democrats got a W finally. Holy shit. Pete Exit, your agenda is illegals, trans, DEI, all of which are no longer allowed at DOD. Pete's POV. God damn, that is oof. We're gonna talk about the second Pete Exit drama that hit the timeline. Another Signal Gate moment from our defense chief. Whoa, where the hell did my... What the hell? Defense Chief Heggs has shared war plans in second Signal chat, New York Times reports. A second Signal Gate has hit the timeline. Ladies and gentlemen, this man absolutely loves sending state secrets to people over Signal, to people that he should not be sharing these secrets with, people that do not have the proper clearance. I personally don't care. I think it's quite funny, as a matter of fact, that these guys keep leaking details of their horrible plans. I care more about the fact that they have these horrible plans to begin with. That's what I care about. But once again, it is pretty funny that this administration keeps getting in its own way. Amazing. Breaking from the New York Times, Pete Hegseth shared detailed information about forthcoming strikes in Yemen on March 15th in a private Signal group chat that included his wife, his brother, and personal lawyer. The info included the flight schedules for the FA-18 Hornets targeting the Houthis in Yemen. Now, it's hilarious because, like, if you know someone with any kind of security clearance, you know that this is a big-time no-no situation. It is very, very unacceptable to do this, and this would immediately revoke your security clearance. Like, this is something that would normally get you fired and possibly even criminal prosecution. But of course, we live in different times now. Here it is. Heggs is said to have shared attack details in the second signal chat. The defense secretary sent sensitive information about strikes in Yemen to an encrypted group chat that included his wife, brother, and people familiar with the matter. Said, Mr. President, a second signal group chat controversy has hit the towers. Nothing Pete loves more than slamming 5 to 10 beers for breakfast, driving to work, and then texting war plans to his brothers over a few fingers of whiskey. Defense Secretary Pete Heggs has shared detailed information about forthcoming strikes in Yemen on March 15 in a private signal group chat that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer, according to 4 people with knowledge over the chat. Some of those people said that the information Mr. Heggs has shared on the signal chat included the flight schedules for the FA-18 Hornets targeting the Houthis in Yemen, essentially the same attack plans he shared on a separate signal chat the same day that mistakenly included the editor of The Atlantic. Mr. Heggs' wife, Jennifer, a former Fox News producer, is not a Defense Department employee, but neither should be Mr. Heggs. To be fair, like, I'm not defending this administration, but like, it's not like Pete Heggs is qualified for this job anyway. Might as well share it with everybody, you know? And I don't think that this will cause Donald Trump to fire him, considering the first one didn't cause Donald Trump to fire him, even though this actually increases the stakes a little bit higher than the previous one, because now, at least in the first one, they did not know, according to their defense at least, that there was a person that did not have any security clearance whatsoever in that group chat. In this one, Pete Heggs knowingly is sending classified information to members of his family and friends. Who else has he sent this to? The f***ing intern that he wants to have. Who else has Pete Heggs sent the Yemen bombing detailed information to? It seems like everybody knew about it except for us and the Houthis. Just leak it next time in a more appropriate avenue, you know? Mr. Heggs' brother Phil and Tim Parlatore, who continues to serve as personal lawyer, both have jobs in the Pentagon, but it is not clear why either would need to know about the upcoming military strikes aimed at Houthis in Yemen. The previously unreported existence of a second signal chat in which Mr. Heggs has shared highly sensitive military information is the latest in a series of developments that have put his management and judgment under scrutiny. Dog, what do you mean? Unlike the chat in which the Atlantic was mistakenly included, the newly revealed one was created by Mr. Heggs. It included his wife and about a dozen other people from his personal and professional inner circle in January before his confirmation as defense secretary, and that was named Defense Team Huddle. The people familiar with the chat said he used his private phone rather than his government one to access the signal chat. I don't know if I'm against it at this point. We may need this guy to give us more insight on how they're killing civilians in Yemen. Oh, I am unconditionally in support of Pete Heggs doing this. I cannot stress this enough, chatters. And I've made this clear since the first time this became a controversy. I think that we are missing the forest for the trees. Now, I think it's deliberate that the media is missing the forest for the trees. They're deliberately refusing to reckon with the actual issue here, which is, why are we bombing Yemen to begin with? That is the real point of contention for me. We should not be bombing Yemen. As a matter of fact, we should be listening to the very reasonable, very moral demands that the Ansar Allah admin is doing, is engaging in. We should be listening to Yemen and saying, yeah, maybe Israel should cut it out. And this is a consistent position that I've long maintained. I said, I like leaks. I don't care if it's because you saw massive harm being done to civilians at the hands of our military and wanted to blow the whistle, or because your Groyper Discord kittens were acting out of line and you needed to teach them a lesson. So, to me, I love this. I love these leaks. More leaks, please. Leaky faucet. I don't care. To me, there is a higher order of priority here, which is, number one, why the f are we bombing Yemen? Number two, why are we bombing Yemen without congressional approval? Number three, is a foreign nation, by the way. Like, there was a time and place when you had to get congressional approval for these things. Not that it matters, because, like, I don't think we should bomb Yemen at all. Number three, also significant. Why are administration officials using encrypted chat rooms to have these conversations? This is supposed to be done in front of some kind of accountability. Like, this is supposed to be done in front of people that are logging these conversations taking place, so that there's a record of it. You can't have these private conversations on encrypted chat rooms. What are you, crazy? That's not allowed. That part is ridiculous. And also, by the way, illegal. That part is illegal. Now, it doesn't matter because the administration is never going to prosecute that sort of thing, but it is still very much not allowed. What the oh, but this kind of stuff, Leaky Pete, Whiskey Dick Pete over here, engaging in personalized leaks of state secrets. I will say this much. This is good. This is like when Chris Murphy famously came out and was like, we tried to do a light coup in Venezuela, but the Trump administration was too incompetent to deal with it. And I was like, what do you mean? We tried to do a soft coup in Venezuela, Chris Murphy. Why is that good? Are you trying to make Trump look good? And that's kind of how I feel about this administration as well. Like, their incompetence sometimes gets in the way of their violent desires. And I like that. This is ironically what I mentioned before when we were talking about Pete Hegseth. I said, it's not the worst thing that you have an incompetent drunkard moron that is in charge of the Defense Department, because the Defense Department's output is overall very bad. And even the fact that he is a virulent racist and an Islamophobe isn't necessarily all that different from previous administrators of the Defense Department. I think that it's worse that RFK Jr., an anti-vaxxer who is anti-medicine in general, is in charge of the HHS than Pete Hegseth is in charge of the DOD, because this kind of shit will happen over and over again because of his incompetence. And I like that. I want the people in charge of the Defense Department to be incompetent, and I want the people in charge of the HHS to be competent. If you want to understand, though, aside from like the incompetence of this administration and their Defense Department, there's of course more that we must discuss on the matter. Perhaps more importantly, aside from this kind of shit, is what the American government has been doing. The American government is doing what Israel's been doing in Gaza, but this time to Yemen. I'm going to briefly bring this up. I wasn't going to bring this up today. I was going to save it for Monday, but I guess it bears repeating. Ryan from Drop Site, Ryan Grimm, friend of the show from Drop Site, actually covered this. The American government two-tapped a place that they had bombed in Yemen. This is a direct, clear-cut, definitional war crime. Make no mistake. What that means is they blew up a site. They waited for first responders to reach the site, only to explode it once again. Of course, I'm not going to show the videos. Don't be crazy.
Now, Hegseth did issue his first public comments about this just a few minutes ago from the White House at the Easter egg roll.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter.
So two things, John. First,
this is something that people noticed here. I will have you take a look really quickly. Where is this sideburn? That's right. It's under the earlobe. Now let's take a look at when he looks in the opposite direction real quick. To be fair, I think it's just white hair. Like, I don't think he shaved it up to this point. At first I thought that was the case as well, but I'm realizing that I think it's just because he has white hair on his beard, so you can't really see it. Yeah, you see, you can kind of tell from this angle that it's just gray hair, so it looks like there's no hair there.
So two things, John. First, neither Parnell, his spokesperson, Sean Parnell, his spokesperson, nor Hegseth there are actually denying the substance of the story, that he did have this Signal group chat that included his wife, his brother, and his lawyer. They are instead blaming it on disgruntled former employees, which is the second point here. Dan Caldwell and Darren Selnick, two of the officials that Hegseth fired last week, they actually were some of Hegseth's closest advisors over a decade. And one of the officials that left the Pentagon last week, John Olliott, who was until last month Hegseth's top spokesperson, he is saying publicly in a new op-ed that he wrote in Politico last night that it's been a month of total chaos at the Pentagon. And he said it's hard to see Defense Secretary.
I don't know if they are actually interested in dumping Pete Hegseth, by the way. Like, I know that there is reporting from NPR and whatnot, but it kind of feels like there is an internal battle that's taking place right now within the Trump administration between different groups that have different interests in the region, specifically in the Middle East, where I think, especially as it pertains to Iran, I feel like there is a little bit of a conflict there. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like there is the kooks and the crazies who are ironically taking a more restrained approach to Iran. Not to say Hexet is one of them, because Hexet is just a fucking idiot, but there are more hawkish voices within the admin that say, oh no, just strike Iran and nothing bad will come of it. And then some voices who are cranks that go, perhaps we should not do that. Perhaps we shouldn't strike Iran. Ironically enough, the cranks or the new right coalition is on the right side here. Drop site is also reported on Hexet being dumped potentially. Mike Waltz is on the other side of this. You can see some conservative commentators coming after him. Yeah, they commissioned Brace for this tweet. Jesus Christ, dude. I saw this. Pete's PO. This is actually a banger. This is actually low-key a fucking banger. I will admit that. Like, I can't believe the Democrats got a W finally. Holy shit. Pete Exit, your agenda is illegals, trans, DEI, all of which are no longer allowed at DOD. Pete's POV. God damn, that is so good. That is oof. They put alt text for accessibility. A screenshot of a blurry iPhone home screen. This is dark woke, dude. Fact post. Trump's White House has reportedly started looking to replace Pete Hegseth with a second signal after a second signal group surfaced. Start the clock. I mean, this one is funny, but this is brutal. Like that one is like, haha, funny, whatever. This is fucking awesome. This is the type of joke. This is the type of joke that you know, if I was funnier, I would make. I don't get it. Sorry, I'm a bit autistic. They're saying he's drunk. They're making fun of Pete Hegseth's alcoholism by saying this is when you look at your phone, this is what you see, blurry. Imagine Pete seeing that tweet, so it's extra blurry. Yeah, it's even blurrier. That's why he didn't respond to this tweet.
Well, this would be a good news day to accept Hegseth's resignation. I mean, all the news is about this extraordinary pope that we just lost, and so it might be buried. I can't imagine how he survives this. His key staff, as you just reported, has been fired by him. Some of them were on the second call. There are rumors that there may have been as many as 20 calls on unsecured platforms. I mean, that is, I don't know what you call it, tradecraft 00.1. You don't do this. And I can't imagine that Congress will defend him at this point. I wonder if the president will defend him. He's embarrassing the president. So.
I hear they're doing that whole thing again. Here we go again. It's just a waste of time. He is doing a great job.
Why do you still have confidence?
Because he's doing a great job. Thank you. Ask the Houthis how he's doing.
There's a hearing today on the Alien Enemies Act in the DC District Court. Your thoughts on that, Mr. President?
Well,
he's like, ask the Houthis how he's doing. No, literally, because he texted them. He's like, ask the Houthis. They know. He's been texting them every day. I keep telling him, Pete, don't do it. Don't text the Houthis. What are you going to do? He loves to set up signal chats and text everybody. That's my Pete.
We were elected to clean up the mess of this country. And we had millions and millions of people come in who are criminals, who are murderers, who are everything you can imagine, drug lords, drug dealers. They came in from prisons and from mental institutions. And I was elected to move them out, among many other things. And that's what we're doing.
Mr. President, verify your clearance level for
Ask the Houthis how much dysfunction there is. There's none. Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him. We have the highest recruitment numbers I think they've had in 28 years. No, he's doing a great job. It's just fake news. They just bring up stories. I guess it sounds like disgruntled employees. You know, he was put there to get rid of a lot of bad people, and that's what he's doing. So you don't always have friends when you do that.
Should he stop using the app?
Ever since the carjacking gone wrong, Tofia Chu has not stayed off the internet in the slightest. She's decided to beef with more people than ever and make some of her most outlandish statements yet. What some believed to be a possible turning point for Tofia was exactly the opposite, now doubling down on many of the things that have gotten her so much controversy in the past. Tofia has squandered nearly all of the goodwill that came to her in the aftermath of her situation. situation by blaming people for it, threatening lawsuits, and possibly running scams. But before I get deeper into all of that, I want to go back to when she still had that goodwill. It was merely days after the carjacking gone wrong, and a GoFundMe was made for Donald Jr.'s funeral. The GoFundMe was set around a couple thousand and would quickly be reached, only for the limit to once again be increased. And this happened a couple of times, eventually setting the limit somewhere around $10,000. This was not the only money that the family was receiving, though. Sophia was receiving so many cash apps that her limit was exceeded, and she had to tell people to pay her on other platforms. People who were positive that Sophia might turn over a new leaf were hoping that she would provide evidence that the money was going towards good things, because Sophia has been known to waste exorbitant amounts of money when they are in desperate situations. And people were concerned that this was how the money would be spent. I hope she will show receipts of how the funds are spent. If I sent money to go towards a funeral, I want it to go towards the funeral, not DoorDash, not makeup, none of that. This was a commonly held sentiment amongst people that had given money to Sophia around this time. It seemed like Sophia had been given all of the grace possible in light of some of the things that she had done in the past. And I'm sure that you've already assumed that she squandered all of it. And mainly this is because Sophia Chu has been feuding with more people than ever, along with making tons of contradictory claims.
I don't understand why people are saying it's my fault. Nobody cares. It's so messed up. You know, I tried so hard to stay away from those negative comments. But that comment section is so nasty. It was the wrong place, wrong time. And I wish we was never there. You know, it could happen to anyone. It could happen to anyone. I never wanted cash apps. I never wanted help. For people to say that I'm taking people's money, it literally notifies people on Cash App when it fails to go through. So for me saying, like, if it fails to go through, send it to my PayPal, they've already gotten their money back because, you know, it fails to go through. You know, I kept telling everybody, I said, it's not safe out here. How? I never wanted help.
I don't agree with the people who say that Sophia had something to do with this, but she's also referring to the people that say she wouldn't be homeless if she contributed to the bills like Brother Chu did. And this has perpetuated a nasty cycle of back and forth between Sophia Chu and detractors. Sophia will claim that it is all of their fault. They are the ones that got them kicked out of their old home, which the detractors have proof is wrong, and it just keeps going back and forth. Well, like I just talked about, one of Sophia's main points that she is mad about is people telling her that she should have had a job or should get a job now. Donald Jr. was the financial support of the family, and without him, I have no idea what they're gonna do when Mama Chu gets out of the hospital, because even still, Sophia Chu refuses to work and says that even suggesting it to her is awful of you.
I planned my brother's funeral. We have everything basically set up and ready, you know, for his funeral. His friends are doing something for him Saturday. Let's talk about the internet and why the internet is so bad to the point where people don't have a place to live. Coming on the internet saying, well, if she just had a job. You called my brother's job and told his job he was a health hazard. What kind of people are you to tell me to get a job if I would have been fired? What kind of a justice is it for people to say, well, you shouldn't have been talking about people's relatives, and then say, well, that's karma. When she retaliates the way we started with her first, that's karma. Y'all never want to take accountability for any of your actions. We had a place to stay. We had a place to live. They were willing to work with us. But you know what happened? The internet caused us to not have the place that we had last year, and then celebrated we didn't have a place and we were homeless. We had a place. We could have kept that place paid. I didn't want my brother to take the responsibility of paying all the bills himself. I helped as best as I could. If he just had a place, I did. Y'all didn't let me have a place. Y'all didn't care. And then tell me I'm supposed to shut up and not respond to people. We had a place. You got us evicted. If this harassment, if people would have stopped harassing me and left me alone, we would have never been in dangerous situations. I pleaded with people. It's dangerous out here. It's scary out here. It's not safe. No one wanted to listen. Oh, we gave you resources. Just go to an unsafe shelter. You contributed to our unsafe environment. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. You don't have to respond. You don't have to say anything to me. You don't have to be mad. You don't have to tell me off. Block me. Leave me alone. I'm gonna step up because people don't believe I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna step up. For that lady to have the nerve to say I'm supposed to go get a job while I got trauma, you got some nerve while profiting off of my situation, running your gums. Enough is enough is enough. Leave me alone. From here on out, we're gonna have protection to make sure we're safe. You continue to harass me. Well, now we've got help.
Personally, I think that Tofia is shifting all of the guilt that she feels for the situation onto random people online. To my knowledge, they have never been kicked out of a place because of trolls' harassment. It has always been due to them not paying the rent. But I think there's an even bigger point to be made here. I'm not saying this is how I think, but by Tofia's own logic, her not having a home contributed to this crime being committed. She says that it was the trolls who got her kicked out of her old place, which isn't true. They did not pay the rent. So by that logic, who is really responsible for you all being in that situation? I want to make it clear that's not what I believe, but I want to point out that this way she's thinking is hypocritical. This is not just speculation for me. This came from Tofia's own mouth. Here's a clip from way back in October of last year where she talks about being kicked out for not paying the rent.
She's like, no, we have to put your, they put you on the do not rent list because corporate said we're having issues with you paying rent, which was only twice. Mind you, the first time she said that she made some calls because something wasn't right, and then she said we paid for 2 days.
This rewriting of history isn't going to work because all of the clips are out there. That is a mere snippet from the time that she was talking about it. She has also talked many times about how she doesn't pay much of the rent, and that Brother Chew is paying for the majority of the bills. Marie said this as well, and I think it was this hypocritical attitude that she had that turned so many people on her. So many people that had goodwill for her in the aftermath of what had happened, beginning the downward spiral into Tofia being more infamous than ever. It had now been a couple of weeks since everything had happened. Papa Chew, who was previously incarcerated, was released, and a memorial service was held for Donald Jr. by his friends. There was also an update on Mama Chew, who had broken bones in her face and jaw, but was now in a much more stable condition. The GoFundMe was still receiving donations, and so was Tofia Chew, who continued to make content, mostly centered around blaming people and now making legal threats.
We had a place. People would call every single place we was at. They would find out I would get dogs, and then they would harass us out of the place. The last job my brother had was Jimmy John's. Y'all tried to call his job at Jimmy John's and tell Jimmy John's that my brother was a health hazard, so he would lose his job. You talk about get a job, get a place, we do that, and then you guys cause us to get kicked out of places. I can't even tell you guys nothing because it's still an active investigation. And I think God spared me from any intern to help take care of my mom because he knew my mom needed me. At the end of the day, it boiled down to that man and what he did to my brother, and it being his fault, nobody else's fault. It is nobody else's fault. And when I blame the internet, I'm saying leading up to what happened. The reason why. I don't even know if it was targeted from online either. I can't rule that out. But again, it's an active investigation. I can't say too much. What are you doing? Why are you out here arguing with people? Why are people online giving freaking think pieces about a situation and deterring people from helping me, deterring people from having empathy, and telling people, don't help her, make her get a job. Oh, I'm supposed to leave my mom in the hospital, get a job with trauma, and have a mental breakdown in the middle of my job and not perform properly because you want me to not be a victim when I'm literally a victim in this situation. You know, I don't even know if it was from the internet. And it's the fact that people do not want to take accountability for the things that they were doing because they got away for so long. You know, now that I have all of this help, I'm going to push forward with legal action towards every single person who thought it was okay to dox me. I have proof that there was people doxing me in a Facebook group with 2,000 people. What led up to the situation? The threats. When someone told my mom on my station that they were going to bust the windows out and rip me out the windows. Oh, look what happened. My windows were busted out. I was ripped out of the windows. How many times did I plead with police and show police that I was receiving threats? How many times did I ask for help and I didn't get it?
Many people were hoping that Tofia Chew would view herself as a survivor, not so much as a victim, and that this might actually cause her to change for the better, but it seemed to be the complete opposite. She was doing everything that she accused everyone online of. She was attempting to dox people, blaming people who had nothing to do with it, and even speculating that the internet might still have some kind of connection to this Peter Garcia. All of these things she has been accused of as well. Like Like I said before, she's been very hypocritical in her statements, and if you think things are going to get any better from this point forward, you don't know much about Tofia, because in more and more of her content appeared food. She was door dashing and visiting restaurants a lot, leading some of the donators to be critical of her actions, hoping that she would spend the money on what they intended it for. Well, Tofia didn't take too kindly to these criticisms, saying she wouldn't be revealing many details to people because it was an active investigation.
When you've got people that's monitoring your page, you cannot give updates, and I'm not giving personal information. I can't even tell you anything about donation money, and I can't give any information, guys. You guys really have to use your common sense when speaking, because this is an active investigation, meaning we don't know why this guy did what he did. We don't know if we're still in danger. We don't know anything. So you can't demand me or get mad at me because I'm not updating anyone. I'm taking care of my mom, trying to get us to a safe space. That's all. I can't even be giving personal information. I'm sorry, I can't. It's safety.
When people are questioning things that Tofia doesn't want them to, oh, it's an active investigation, I can't talk about it. But when it's her blaming people online for what happened, she can talk all about it. She is really using every tool at her disposal to try and get a moral upper hand on people and extract any benefit that she can from all of this. I know it sounds like a very harsh thing to say, but in my opinion, it's the truth. It's why I titled this video Tofia Chu Takes Advantage, and for other reasons which we're going to get into later. The length of time that Donald Jr. had gone without a funeral was also coming into question. Reddit user Big Chungus had this to say on the situation. Funerals are usually held within a week or two at most. She's used the money, and he will be cremated by the state. It had been weeks, and Brother Chu was still not laid to rest, but a small memorial service would be held for him at a funeral home which Mama Chu would attend. By now, the worm had turned. Many people who had given money to her GoFundMe or through her Cash App were now being extremely critical of the decisions that she was making. Thousands of dollars were paid towards Donald Jr.'s funeral, and speculation on if it would actually happen was now running rampant. But not all speculation was so valid, because during this time we would witness something akin to the tale of Icarus. For those who don't know, Squid was the old housekeeper of Tofia's, back when she lived at that motel type thing before she officially went homeless. Squid was the one who exposed the horrid state of their home and became a beloved figure for this. That is until just recently, when she flew far too close to the sun and insinuated that Tofia Chu had something to do with this tragedy.
Do you have some sort of access to some Albuquerque newspaper that I don't know exists, or anyone else, or like some kind of news station that nobody else knows exists? It's quite literally a Google search away, or not, because they didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid. I am stupid, but maybe I'm being stupid about this. But please show me, give me the links, and you point me in the direction, tag me in the videos. Who's they? Because the only articles that you see when you Google this shit is from the day that it happened, and the police saying that it's still under investigation. So
Squid insinuates that because she had not seen certain information in the news that Tofia Chu knew about, that she somehow had something more to do with the crime. And the way that she is so goddamn smug about it really rubbed people the wrong way, and she has been feuding with the comments ever since.
Yes, you do. I've seen you responding to all the comments. That's what you sound like. And the grass is outside.
If you're going to give people a reaction like this, don't be surprised when they come looking for more. And that's exactly what happened, with people now telling her to put the sheets on the mattress. Along with Squid's fall from grace, something extremely interesting was happening. The GoFundMe for Donald Jr. began losing money for the first time since its creation, and this left a lot of people guessing. Had money been extracted earlier? Were more people getting their money back? What was going on with the GoFundMe? Tofia Chu claims that it was started by a close friend of Donald Jr.'s, but it was also speculated that she could have started it herself. Personally, I don't know what to believe, but something came along that distracted us from all of that for a bit. Her newfound hate for my podcast co-host, Smokey MCC. Smokey had made a video talking about some of the things that Tofia had gotten up to in the aftermath of the carjacking. Eventually, she heard about this video and began to criticize Smokey on her Instagram. Instagram, making statements that revealed that she had no idea who Smokey really was and that she hadn't even watched his video.
Now let's get on to the Smokey MC. Mick don't even got no rhymes on the mic. Anyways, I just wanted to say that like a rapper. He got no rhymes on the mic. Anyways, but Smokey MC sounds like the name of a smoker that chews too many Marlboro packs of cigarettes. He probably smokes 200 packs of cigarettes a day, whoever this Smokey MC is. I don't care that Smokey MC made a video because I think I'm blocked by him. And if I'm not, oh well. And if I blocked him, well, there's a reason I probably blocked you. But for people to tell me that he made a video exposing me, I don't give a F. First of all, cancel culture is another thing. You can never cancel me. And now that I went through something traumatic, you want to expose me? Smokey MC, the only thing you should be exposing is how much packs of cigarettes you smoke a day. Because you smoke way too much packs of cigarettes a day from what your name is. That's what it sounds like. Smokey, you're the character of Irrelevant Thanos gloves. Like, you know, when these characters try to come out of nowhere and try to cancel me, it's not gonna work. I'm getting a house, I'm getting a place, and you're getting mad. You see, the thing is, cancel culture is not that you can't cancel me. You're like the Pauly Shore of TikTok, right? In a sense of like Pauly Shore plays the same character over and over again, nothing new. Like, you try to be what everybody else is, right? It's always the same carbon copy of people. They're always like, let me make a video exposing her. Let me talk about her. Let me try to make money off of her. Let me do what every other single person has done. Let me not reinvent myself and do something new. Doesn't it get boring for you? I mean, I would be bored if I chewed the same pack of 200 cigarettes a day. Imagine chewing the same pack of cigarettes every day. Like, I don't even eat the same foods every day. And if I choose to, it's because I really, really, really want to and I really, really enjoy it. Otherwise, sometimes I want variety. But you're not the variety pack. You're a carbon copy of all the other trolls. I really don't care what Smokey's got to say. Irrelevant. That's why I couldn't even find them, because they're irrelevant. And that's where they need to stay. Irrelevant. I don't love it, but you know what's funny is when people get mad because they don't have any information, they're not getting updates. I'm not updating anything. You don't need to know personal information, especially what GoFundMe is being spent on or anything. It's none of your business. I hope it eats you inside. Vividly. Also, Smokey C got one of my Insta stories taken down because it was reported. One of the audios got removed for violating guidelines. What guideline violations is it by saying that Smokey C chews a bunch of cigarettes? Like, these people are allowed to say anything without repercussions, but when I say something, I catch violations. If anything I said wasn't true, then why are you reporting me? You wouldn't care at all if it wasn't true. Obviously, I have some truth to what I'm saying, right? Because I wouldn't get reported, but that's just crazy.
Smokey does love cigarettes, but to my knowledge, he doesn't eat them, nor should anyone. And he's not a rapper. It just goes to show that Tofia Chu knows absolutely nothing about him and didn't watch the video. She is just lashing out at anyone that she sees covering the situation. Doesn't really matter if it's positive or negative. Recently, Tofia Chu seems extremely unremorseful for controversy that she finds herself in. In my opinion, she's always been that way, but it's worse than usual. She's been beefing with teenage K-pop stans about their opinions of the genre. She's not trying to hide this, owning up to it before that she's having conversations with kids about K-pop and raging at them for it. She says she just doesn't care. She's gonna do what she wants and tell people how she thinks. When people tell her these are children, you should probably leave them alone, then you're the problem. Just like if you ask about the GoFundMe. It had been weeks and there was still no word on Donald Jr.'s burial. Over $7,000 had been collected and no one had heard anything except for an angry Tofia Chu talking about how that was none of their business.
You know what's funny is that there's no profile picture versus like, we're going to show him everything that you said and you're not going to get any help. Like, you're not going to get a set. First of all, that's my brother's friend. And second of all, if you're in contact with the person that's a GoFundMe, how funny we're both in contact. And the guy's not going to take the money back and not bury his friend. Are you dumb? You're literally telling people that this guy is not going to help bury his friend. I wouldn't do that if I was you. He had friends that really cared. Like, for you to say that this guy's gonna revoke the GoFundMe money because you're showing him stuff, I really hope and think that you do know that you're actually talking to that guy and not someone pretending to be him because you're that stupid. Like, I will never understand no profile pictures, saying things, and literally lying. Let's not lie on the internet. I mean, why are you literally trying to stop my brother from being buried? And what does that man have to do with anything that I say online? Didn't you say that you were going to rip me out of the window? And didn't that actually happen? Y'all caused my brother to almost lose his job. Y'all were the reason why my brother got hurt and harmed. And you don't want to take accountability for that. And you're mad that I got some sort of help. You don't like the fact that that money was raised in that fast, in that small amount of time, to be able to help me. That's why it's a jealousy thing. What led up to the whole situation was your guys' fault. You kept harassing my family. You kept calling places and trying to get us kicked out. And then you said that because we didn't have a place, it was our fault. Well, what was we supposed to do? Go rent a place so we would have got kicked out? I'm not putting my name on a lease to end up having an eviction on my name and not be able to get a place. I'm not ruining my name for you, if that's what you think. Maybe you need to reevaluate yourself if you're trying to stop someone from being buried. Imagine trying to stop someone from being at peace. You're scared. That's what it is. When I say something, I say it on my real account. Let's be 100%. You're literally the reason why this all happened.
I believe that if no money had been given to her, it wouldn't be anyone's business. But these people donated for a funeral, not for other stuff.
You hear me? Okay, good. Oh, not much. I'm doing all right. I was glad yesterday to not have to go to any estate sales. Oof. God. Yeah. I mean, it went okay, but you know, you probably saw. Oh, I'm getting kind of a lot of echo tonight. I don't know. Check, check, check. All right, sounds good. No echo. Yeah. Okay. All right. Did you just want to do like a juice run, or what did you think? Because we don't have a key still. We still don't have a key. So maybe I'm gonna bring in a guy with nothing, because I don't think it's worth bringing in a guy with armor and shit unless we're gonna go for pyro or do something crazy. Hmm. You know, if you Yeah, I mean, if you were going in with, if you had a posse of 4, or I don't know what the limit is, but you know what I mean? If you go in with 3 or more guys playing at the same time, you automatically have an advantage. You're going to kill the bots, you're going to kill the other players, usually you're going to just wreak havoc, you know? Yeah. Right. Well, I always just assume it's like, you know, people who know each other, but maybe, yeah, you're right. It could just be people who team up and don't care. Right. 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 That's right. That's right. Make sure that's clear. Yeah, I don't have like a key to get to the police station or the embassy or anywhere the pyro will be. So it's like until I get a key, I'm just gonna try to keep juicing up the guys who don't have shit. So let's just go in and. Yep. Yep. Wow. Yeah. Is Path of Exile the Elon Musk game? it's your game, man. I don't know. No, I know what you. You know, I also have bought games and played them, but yeah, so it's hard though when you're focused and you just really, really like one thing.
Welcome to Al Mazrah.
Probably,
Exploring,
yeah.
looting, and securing
Years
intel will
ago.
open access to missions and targets. Expect resistance from local forces and watch for other operators in the AO.
There's a shop.
Some loot here. Got a buy station here.
Is the police? Where's the police station? It's close. Oh yeah, yeah. We could go to the police station and like loot the upper or outside balconies and see if we can maybe get in. That could be fun. That since it's so close. Ooh, got a self-revive. Yeah, let's loot a little bit. Since we're here. I don't know. It's something that you need. Question. I know the AFAC, something that you needed, like, is to like get your wallet expansion or whatever. I think at some point. I found a couple keys, but nothing really good. Oh well, no, nah. Right, let's do it. Uh-oh, is that a car right here? Yeah, car's coming. He stopped. Fuck you. Oh, God. Yep. Damn it. Fucking hell. Son of a bitch. Oh well. Just got a self-revive. Like, yeah, I know, like... Alright, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. What does that mean? Oh, I see. Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good. Right. Yeah, yeah. Breaking up here.
Welcome to Al Mazrah. Explore, secure intel, and loot to gain access to new missions.
Yeah, yeah.
Enemy
I wonder.
threat is high, so expect contact.
Right, but is like, so you're still gaining. Hopefully, you're still playing the same game and advancing the same way. You want to go to the shop?
Got a buy station here.
Here, let's take a car. There's a car right here. Okay, where's the car go? Right here. I'll meet you there. Yeah, I think that's probably what I was looking at.
Ultra One, enemy threat appears low in this area.
I think I'm gonna be sick. Uh-oh, taking shots.
Taking effective fire. Get to cover.
There's a fucking guy with a rocket launcher. I got the guy with the rocket launcher. Oh. Yeah, coming up behind you. There's guys over here.
Enemy fighter spotted.
Fucking guy with another guy with a rocket launcher. Fucker. Fuck.
Ultra One, advised, an operator in your area needs medical. Ultra One, activity has increased in the area. Keep your eyes open.
Alright. Coming.
Eyes on an enemy fighter. Moving. Enemy fighter hit.
Look at all the launchers over here, man. Three guys. I gotta go to the shop. I gotta get some plates.
Moving. Marking it.
Alright, where the hell are we? Yeah, I'm plated up. Looks like Pyro may be near the police. We're near an exfil. I don't know. We don't want to exfil right now, though. Obviously, there is a stronghold. There's a stronghold not too far away. Oh right, neither do I. Shit. Yeah.
taking
Yeah, I'm fighting him. I hear voices. Yeah, that was. Oh no, that wasn't a launcher. I don't know. He's dead now. I don't see a launcher. Alright. Let's get it. This snuck up on me, but that show that I mentioned to you a while back is tomorrow night. That soft play and Bathe Haven. Oh, there's player right here. I mean, bottom lounge is where it's at. I mean, the show shows at 8. I think the doors open at 7. I plan on just basically showing up around the time that, you know, the opening band is gonna play at 8. No, Kent, the same crew as last time is actually going. It's Mike and Kent. It's. I checked earlier. It looked like they were still available, though. They are like $7. They're not exactly cheap. To see a band, I think it was like 37. Kind of expensive. Oh, we got a helicopter. Fuck.
taking fire on me. Throwing Semtex.
Fuck you.
Ultra One, be advised. Enemy attack. Ultra One, a squad mate is down.
Fuck, dude, I don't have a self-revive. Oh, man. Oh, I shouldn't have. Should have fucking hid. Blows. Alright.
Ultra One, we're seeing
That's the name of the game.
in the area. Stay sharp.
Stay with it.
Dying in the dust. The wheel's spinning, man. Why don't they just kill us already? Ah, brutal. Yeah, that's like by the time you go to bed. I haven't talked to Ken about it yet, but the tentative. That's what I would prefer to do because I'm not. I don't like just standing around. I'm not going to be drinking a whole bunch on a Tuesday night. I totally get it, man. Dude, I totally get it. No worries, no worries. No worries. Yeah, and it's like a band that I'm not like 100% like sure I'm into. I like some of the stuff I heard for sure, but you know, I don't want to just make it like let's go see another band that you only know like nothing. It's not. It's a gamble. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're on a way earlier schedule and you got to work tomorrow. I totally get it, man. Just doing what's right for your cats, man. So that'll blow up the DMZ for tomorrow, but Warzone Wednesday should be in full effect. Oh, okay. Baseball game? Yeah, what time is the game? Good. Get ready for that baseball. All right, sounds good. Yeah, well, it's all about the people watching more so than the game, so you should have a good time. Well, there's a lot of people get very excited, so yeah, you're in hands are very okay. All right, sounds good, man. All right, well, if I don't talk to you before that, have fun at the game. Okay, see you later. All right, bye.
And knowing Tofiachu's track record, I think that they have every right to know how the funeral at least went and what their money was spent on. The thousands of dollars were raised for this funeral, and outside of the memorial service, no one heard anything else until they found out that Donald Jr. had been cremated by the state. This has caused an uproar of people who donated to the funerary fund, and things would get even worse when a video of Tofia shopping at Ross Dress for Less was revealed.
That's fucking Tofia. I just don't fucking saw Tofia!
To this day, no one knows where the money went. There are many theories, and this GoFundMe is actually under investigation from Cash App. People have made them aware that there was no funeral for Donald Jr. and that they want their money back. You know how I said at the beginning of the video that Tofiachu was going to squander any goodwill that she had picked up recently? The claiming of the GoFundMe and the Ross haul were the straws that broke the camel's back. People were right back to their old opinions of Tofia, many of them more negative than ever, feeling that they had given her the benefit of the doubt and been